And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 14th round of the 9th season of the Bandit Racing League, presented here on Full Send Racing Network. First of all, let's point out the very obvious thing. My voice sounds pre-puberty, you could call it. It is certainly not at its best tonight. I am just coming off of a bit of a temporary sickness, but thankfully we have our favorite co-commentator, the guy who does all the graphics in the series, and we got somebody to support me, Mr. Evan Wall. So we'll go to him in a minute. I'm sure it'll get better over the course of the broadcast, as it often does with these things. But so bear with us. For those of you who are just tuning in for your first race, man, I'm sorry it had to be this particular one, but I promise you I sound much more listenable most weeks. Anyways, that being said, tonight is the Tribute to the Station 100 presented by, again, Full Send Racing Network here at Phoenix Raceway for the second to final round of our regular season here in Season 9 of the Bandit Racing League in the GeezerAuthentics.com Truck Series. And, tonight is it's a very important night. And it's a very special sponsor that we want to bring attention to. We did it last year. It was something that we talked about in the previous season, but the Tribute to the Station 100. So for those of you that don't know, the station nightclub fire occurred in Rhode Island in 2003. It's especially relevant to us, in addition to, of course, many of those who it affected, because our very own Charles Oberg was involved. He was present in the incident when it happened, I believe, 18 years ago. And he's still with us in the series. He was a former driver. Unfortunately, now he's moved out of driving roles, but now he takes up the role as the spotter for the driver of the number 13, Christopher Ferreira. So he's still active in the series, and he's still present. And to give you a little bit of background information about the incident, the station nightclub fire occurred in a nightclub, again in Rhode Island, called The Station. It occurred as a result of a fire started by pyrotechnics of the band playing that night. And, they caught some flammable substances, an acoustic foam that was in the walls and the ceilings. If you've ever, known anything about, production for music, obviously trying to keep sound funneled in and just the way that it was designed was not permitted to have, flammable elements like the pyrotechnics that night, unfortunately. Everything caught on fire. It was a large inferno in a wooden-based building, so I'm sure you can imagine how that would have turned out. And unfortunately for all those present there, many lost their lives. Anybody who was able to make it out was very lucky to do so. So obviously we want to bring awareness to the event, because obviously it's extremely tragic, and we're very grateful and very lucky to have Charles Oberg with us today. And on behalf of Christopher Ferrari, his stepson, real life stepson, who's racing in the series tonight, one of our playoff cutoff drivers, it's extremely special to have him here, and we want to give a little bit of awareness in general, but also talk about the after effects of that. I know it's something that we won't we wouldn't ask Charles to talk about, because it's obviously very very private and very personal for people. But PTSD is a massive thing in events like this, and of course you always want to survive in tragic incidents like these, but sometimes there's almost its own downsides as a result of surviving. There's just so much you have to deal with, so much you have to think about, and that's why it's so important to have an emotional support system, whether it's family, whether it's friends. But I think it's kind of beautiful that for us it can be the Bandit Racing League. We can be more than just some racing series where guys show up once a week, run and leave. We mean more to each other than that. I know there's a community here, and I think that's why this series and racing in general is such an important thing. It's escapism, but it also creates some beautiful moments that can really cancel out some otherwise very dark times. So tonight, Tribute to the Station 100, we want to give memory to those who were tragically killed, and as well to those who survived, but still unfortunately have long-term effects as a result of again a very tragic event. Well, all that being said, it is now time to move on with the rest of our traditional pre-race festivities, and the first of those is going to be the driver profile. So we'll take a few minutes. I will get some more water, hopefully kind of reset and be all good to go for the start of the proper broadcast. But this week's driver profile driver was Christopher Ferreira, quite fittingly enough, in the 13, stepson of our very own Charles Oberg. And Chris does so much for the series in the background, but additionally he's such a great presence in the series. He's such a nice, welcoming guy, very similar to a Brandon Jackson, very out there, very social, but they pick everybody's spirits up, they get everybody involved, and it's so great to see. So it was great to sit down and talk with him, and here you go. Here's this week's driver profile with Christopher Ferreira, driver of the number 13 truck. And first of all, thank you, Christopher Ferreira, for taking the time to do our weekly driver profile interview segment here. And first of all, before we get into the racing stuff, as we often do in these interviews, I just want to ask about your interests outside of racing. What do you do for a living? What are some of your hobbies and the stuff that keeps you going outside of the racetrack?
Yeah, so for a living, I work in law enforcement. as far as hobbies go, I'm a big hockey guy, big car head, love wrenching on cars and stuff like that. Um, and just kind of going on long walks with my dog and my fiance, taking a lot of hikes. But yeah, that's pretty much it other than iRacing.
And speaking of iRacing, in the series for a very long time, you've just been such a positive social presence from the first day I met you, the first day you got here, and now I know you're working with the series, you're doing a lot of great work for us, but in regards to just the series in general, you're such a positive face and you're such a fun guy to talk to. You keep the spirits of the group up just like Brandon Jackson does. You two are very similar in that capacity. So, in terms of who you are as a person, how you act, and how much of a positive guy you are, where does that come from in your past, and how does that kind of change the way you perceive the series as a whole?
Yeah, this is just a great group of guys, and I really look forward to coming here on Wednesday nights and racing with these guys. And it's a lot more than that. We have our practice sessions and our kind of pre and post race chats, but yeah, just a great group of guys. They're really friendly. They always have something to contribute, whether it's the technical side of a race car, or how to get through a corner on a certain track, or Nick Nickerson talking about Sasquatches or something random that he has a lot of knowledge on. But yeah, for the most part, it kind of reminds me of a hockey locker room, and we're all kind of chirping each other, and we'll uh, we'll throw shots at each other before and after the race, and once we go into the race, all bets are off. But after the race, we're definitely a good friend group, and I just kind of try to keep that positivity rolling with all these guys.
Well, just like the comparison to hockey, it's so important in hockey to have, kind of that support system there, the people to take you to games, the people to help get your equipment strapped on. So, in the proverbial sense in iRacing and sim racing in general, what is your family support system like? Do you have people who watch the broadcast every week, people that support you? And I think if I remember correctly, you have somebody that, even in the series, that kind of ties into how you got started on iRacing in general.
Yeah, my spotter Charles Oberg, who's also the sponsor of tonight's race. Um, he's the one that really got me into iRacing. I went over to my mom's house for Mother's Day, and I got on his rig, and I immediately knew that this is something I wanted to get into. And my mom has been very supportive of it. She watches the broadcasts and always cheers me on with an after race text. And my fiance always puts up with me putting in the practice session hours and me spending a tremendous amount of money on the new rig I'm going to have. So very thankful for them for supporting me in this and always trying to help me. And I can't thank them enough, and the viewers, obviously.
And now that you do have that new sim and that new rig that you're in the process of getting set up, I think it's going to go to a great place because you've since the time I saw you in this series, you've always been one of those guys that I think flies under the radar a little bit too much. You were a playoff driver last year. You're currently 4 points below the cutoff, but I know tonight that there's some talk that one of the drivers above the cutoff, Michael Ramos, may not make it tonight. So if that is the case, and you're going to be right on the cusp at both Phoenix and Auto Club to make the playoffs, what is your confidence that you can get through in those two racetracks, make it into the playoffs, and once you do, what does the second attempt at a playoff run look like for you?
Yeah, we don't quite have the new rig set up yet, but even still, we're just going to try and run our race, be nice and smooth, and just try to bring home a top 10. The next two races, I think that we're fully capable of doing so. These next two tracks are tricky in their own right. Auto Club being a little bit easier of a track, but yeah, just kind of pointing our way in. We missed a couple races at the beginning of the season, but this has just been a goal of mine since I started coming back after taking a short break. But yeah, once we're in there, I hope to make some noise. We have a lot of good tracks coming up on the schedule and a lot of things that can shake some stuff up. And once the new rig is here and we're up and running, I think that we'll definitely make some noise in these playoffs.
Awesome. Well, Chris, you're one of my favorites. I always try to stay impartial and stay out of it. But when it comes to guys that I really want to see get their first podium and I really want to see succeed because they're such great people off track, that there's many of them in this series, but you're one of them, Chris. I wish you the best of luck as always. Thank you for taking the time to do the interview, and yeah, I'm sure I'll be talking to you particularly for some league stuff in the near future. But hopefully the people will get to hear you again in a post race interview soon.
Well, Marshall, appreciate the kind words and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, it was really great to get a chance to sit down with Christopher this week, and we're two guys that I think definitely I wish I had a chance to talk to him more because now we're working together with some stuff in the background going forward. But yeah, great to get a chance to interview him. Another really well-spoken guy that, like I always say, there are some guys that I wish we could hear in the broadcast booth more just because of how great they are to talk to, how friendly they are, and Chris is absolutely in that category. So I wish him the best of luck tonight, and hopefully with Charles spotting for him, that connection can do something special tonight. But speaking of connections, to some extent, there is a major connection we will reference in this upcoming video. But now you guys know what's next. It's time for the weekly race recap, and Well, this week as we head to Phoenix, now we got to recap last week's race at Las Vegas. And, well, what better time to do it than right now? So let's head off to your weekly race recap for the Eastwood Detailing 100 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And in the Eastwood Detailing Breast Cancer Awareness 100 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, well, you can probably take a guess who took the pole. It was Nick Nickerson on the inside, Kevin Foster on the outside of the front row. The Mark Allen Bivens and Steve Ulrich did take row 2. Impressive qualifying results from the both of them, but Peter Murphy early was just on rails. The guy was flying all race really overall. The driver profile driver in the 38 track for Eastwood Detailing was just dominant, but you can just see early in the race how competitive it was about mid-pack. First caution of the day would come out. Andrew Zook making his debut, the third Zook, would get turned by Terry Condis right into Nolan Gross and then into the outside wall, an ugly wreck, and one of those ones that you're very glad it was only virtual. Now Peter Murphy, though, back to the front 10 laps later. The guy was just, again, was quick all night, but it was even quicker in the middle of the race was the Zook connection. The two Zooks, Connor and Kale, teaming up. They'd push each other through the field from 20th all the way up to the lead. They would take over in the 55 and the 44, looking dominant as they trained right by Peter Murphy and Nick Nickerson. But here we go. Second caution of the day. David Lakey getting into the inside of Peter Murphy. That would involve Tony Hilbrands and Brett Kuzik, two very successful drivers this season. Two guys that have had their fair share of wrecks. You see the massive pileup afterwards, but Cody Welch became the story of the race. Cut to 14 to go late in the event. Nick had led really most of the race to that point. Cody got all the way up to second, but Peter Murphy, after a great race, gets turned off the front nose of Curtis Yancey in turn 2 into the inside wall, and just like that, a great race for the 38 would come to an end. But here we go, final restart. Nick Nickerson, Kevin Foster, and Christopher Hamilton, the top 3. They were battling it out from start to finish. Hamilton would take second, and then Cody Welch would find a way to battle back. Got underneath him into the final turn of the second to last lap. Now final lap here, you see Cody Welch right up to the back bumper. Had a chance to get revenge for being turned the week before, but he does the good thing, does the respectful thing, races it to the line, and Nick Nickerson in the 2 truck would beat him for his 4th win of the season. Just a great race from start to finish. Another one of those dominant Nick Nickerson drives. And he would win again. The number 2 driver for GFR Racing would take his 4th win of the season, and he remains your current points leader. And well, boy, is that a deserved points lead. The guy has just been really on rails this entire season, kind of following up his championship campaign last year, and I'd imagine just the way we would have imagined he would. You know, he's not really a guy who makes a ton of mistakes, and when he does, he often picks the best possible opportunities that aren't usually too detrimental for his championship. So, as you'll see here are the current point standings. I know the top is cut off a little bit with the names, but presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa, as all our graphics related to point standings and things of the sort are. So, Nick Nickerson, top of the points. Kevin Foster in second there. It's a GFR Racing 1-2. In third, it's Cody Welch, Ricky Hart, and Brett Kuzik. You can see there down the rest of the line there in your top 18, so you can see where your favorite driver sits on that list. And remember, really the championship points that you want to look forward to are the playoff points. So, you know, that the overall championship points are fun. They tell you exactly how successful drivers have been, you know, this point in the season so far. But really, at the end of the day, what is most important is where they sit in the playoff order. And in terms of that, you saw the graphic a moment ago, but the 8 drivers locked in: Nickerson, Guzik, Ellis, Lacey, Yancey, Smith, Hart, and Jackson. And then the 12 on the yellow you see on the right side there, those are the drivers who are into the series or into the playoffs on points. Right below the cutoff is Christopher Ferreira, tonight's driver profile driver, who is on track as we speak. So we can cut to his effort in qualifying in just a moment. But very quickly, so glad to finally be able to throw it to somebody. Again, I promise, drinking up. Hopefully I'm going to be better throughout the race. But, well, times like these are exactly why we have a co-commentator, and such an awesome one to have in general. Does so much for the series, and he's back. He wasn't here last week missed a great race, but he's back here at Phoenix for what I would expect to be one of the best races we've had in a while. So Evan Wall, he's back in the booth. Great to see Evan, and take over from me. Talk about whatever you want. If there's somebody tonight you think has a good chance to win it, if there's somebody tonight you're looking out for, kind of underrepresented, and just what are you expecting of Phoenix tonight?
First of all, get you a drink of water. I'll try and talk as long as I can. Right now, we have almost 4 minutes down in qualifying, so it won't be long before we get out here on the racetrack. But I'm going to talk about who I think is going to win tonight, and it's a guy that has had it coming for a long time. I know everybody's going to say Nick Nickerson, and Nick Nickerson probably is the favorite, but he's not the guy that I'm going to go with. I got to go with the guy who is currently has the fastest lap. He's currently going to be sitting on the pole. There's still a couple drivers out there, but it's the 85 of Cody Welch. He's got a birthday coming up on Friday, and he just got a new paint scheme. I feel like this is just the perfect storm of everything coming together. I think that 85 of Cody Welch is going to be able to get it done. And I think that really beautiful American flag Silverado is going to be the truck in victory lane at the end of the day. But yeah, of course, you got to talk about Nick Nickerson as well. He's just a driver that's absolutely dominant, and this is his home track. He's sitting in second place right now. He's definitely one of the favorites, as is Kevin Foster. Kevin Foster's out on the track right now. He's down a little bit down a little bit on the qualifying order, but he had a great outing last year when we were at Phoenix, and he's definitely going to be one of those guys to watch, one of Nick Nickerson's teammates. So yeah, those are just some of the guys that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on. But if I had to pick anybody to win tonight, it would definitely be the 85 truck of Cody Welch.
I think a very solid pick, and I think it's interesting to talk about. We'll talk more about the playoffs throughout the race, of course, and who are the guys kind of on the bubble there. But yeah, I think for both Cody Welch and Kevin Foster, keep in mind they're in the playoffs on points right now. But if they are able to get a win tonight and punch themselves into the playoffs with a win, that would free up another spot in the playoffs for a driver to make it in on points. So something interesting to think about, and something we'll definitely keep an eye on going throughout. But thank you, Evan, for giving us some insight there, and for the all-important couple of seconds of drinking I was able to get. So again, it's going to be a fun race. This is going to be the Jordan flu game of my broadcasting career, but this is one of those ones that really puts you to the test. So let's get into tonight's event. Let's pull down your starting ticker and replace it with the starting grid here in qualifying. And as Evan just mentioned a moment ago, Cody Welch takes the pole tonight in the 85 truck, following up a great series of races, great series of comeback drives the last few weeks. I'm sure if he had the option tonight, he would definitely shy away from a comeback drive and would opt for the more dominant approach to winning a race. But he will be starting on the pole to his outside. Well, he's not on the pole, but he didn't go far. Nick Nickerson, the 2 truck in the 2 spot, starts on the outside of the front row. Row 2, it'll be Brandon Jackson, who just said moments ago to us that he wasn't expecting big things tonight, and he puts it on the inside of row 2. I don't know how Brandon does these things, but he'll be starting in the 3rd spot. Then it's Brett Guzik, Ricky Hart, Benny Hogan, a great performance, Tony Hilbrands as well, Andrew Zook, massive improvement from last week, the 07 truck, up into 8th here in qualifying. That's Mason Flagar, and the returning Ashley Molino in her 2nd appearance of the season on the 10th spot.
In 11th position, it's going to be Christopher Hamilton driving the 15 truck, followed by Cale Zook in 12th in the 44. Then we've got Kevin Foster. We just talked about him. Probably one of the favorites tonight. He did great last year, starting in 13th. Behind him, it's going to be Gary D. Moore, Curtis Yancey, Christopher Ferreira, Jason Greenwell, Sean Britt, Peter Murphy, and Connor Sawyer in the 20th position.
We got a little bit more time while we wait for the green to come out, so let's finish up your field here. We got Joshua McQuiggan is going to be starting in the 21st spot again, fellow Canadian like myself. After that, we got Daniel Stein. Then it is Mark Allen Bibbins, who's had a great season for himself so far. I think we may be a little bit off. So Daniel Stein, Gary Wright, I should say, in the 6th truck. Then it is Mark Allen Bibbins. Then we got Nolan Gross after that. Michael Ramos starting in 26th. Jason Romey starting in 27th. Then it's Victor Weaver. Eddie Haggy, who subbed in the broadcast last week and unfortunately has to go back to his usual duties. But then after that, rounding off the top 30, I believe it is Brandon Gears. And there you go. We are top 31. It's going to be one of those nights. There is your top 31, and unfortunately couldn't get quite to the end of the field, but we are quite close. And it is time to go racing. Let's get your tower up. Let's get ready to go. Cody Welch tonight's the pace truck, and in honor of my voice being gone, Evan, why don't you take us to green?
Yeah, getting ready to go green. It's going to be Cody Welch and Nick Nickerson. And as the green flag flies, the 85 is going to be the one diving down into turn 1 first. The 2 of Nick Nickerson right to his outside. Brandon Jackson looking on that inside lane down in the 2nd row.
Yeah, Brandon Jackson off to a good start despite his
turn 1.
Crash immediately right off the bat. Brandon Gears involved. Hunter Henry is on my telemetry. Peter Murphy, Jason Romey, a number of drivers dropping down the order. Let's see if we can find somebody involved. There's Hunter Henry in the aftermath. You see the pace truck in the bottom. Brandon Gears making his 2nd appearance in the series in the 73 truck has already gone off in race number 2, and just like that, first caution of the night comes up pretty quick.
And first of all, real quick, I need to address something in the comments of the YouTube chat. This is going to be directed directly to Matthew Crockett. We don't handle any Alabama slander here. Hey, we may have lost to Texas A&M, but that's okay. We'll be back. Nick Saban is going to get us. Well, once we get some good play calling, things are going to be okay. But we're heading to the replay right now, so we'll see what happened here.
So whatever this was must have happened up front. The default camera angle is taking me a little bit further back, but I'm seeing Peter Murphy had already gone around up front. Peter Murphy, who, despite a really great season overall in terms of on-track product, has not had the results that he would have been hoping for. So let's try to get a closer up camera angle here on the 38 there. You see the black and pink truck on the bottom line just slides right into Christopher Ferreira there. I don't know if it was Chris was coming down or the 38 slid in a little bit too deep. We'll go to an alternative camera angle to get a better view. But, I mean, if there was one guy that I didn't want to start off tonight with a wreck, it was Christopher Ferreira, driver of the 13. That really sucks to see. So
but you know, the good thing about it being so early is he's got plenty of time to come back. This is what, lap 1, lap 2, so plenty of time for him to drive back up. He's still got a fast repair if he needs to use it. So yeah, let's look at it one more time, see if we can see what happened. Riding on with Peter Murphy, I believe.
Yeah, you know, honestly, yeah, maybe one more view. I'm not necessarily sure how I diagnosed that. You know, the 38 truck was running about a half line up off the yellow line. I think Chris thought there was going to be an opening there that maybe wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those tough racing incidents, especially the first lap. You know, I think we always underestimate in racing just how, you know, some drivers, even the very best, need a couple laps to really get up to speed, really get, you know, dialed in the zone, really aware of their surroundings. And in that case, I think it was just a subtle miscommunication that unfortunately has led to, well, a very early wreck in a race where we're not hoping for a ton of them. We've had some great races in the series lately that have been relatively caution-free, so it sucks to see it start out like this, but I'm confident that we'll figure it out going forward. And Phoenix is a pretty wide track, plenty of room, so hopefully the cautions will be few and far between tonight. But, well, again, we're going to do a segment we usually do in the broadcast, but how about we do a little bit earlier today and tell you a little bit about Phoenix Raceway. So if Evan, you want to take over the duties here and do the weekly track preview here at Phoenix Raceway.
Of course, being such a wide track like we just talked about, this place is only a mile long, but it really doesn't feel like a mile-long racetrack. Sometimes when I'm racing it feels longer than a mile, but also it feels shorter than a mile when you cut that dog leg. It's a really strangely shaped racetrack, but the place opened in 1964, and we're running 100 laps here on a mile-long racetrack. So, of course, all you math whizzes, it's going to be 100 miles around the track today. Turn 1 and 2 are banked 8 to 9 degrees, 3 and 4 10 to 11 degrees, and the dog leg is 10 to 11 degrees as well, but that's progressive banking. And you can see the dog leg, when you really get down on it, it's a little bit flatter. So it's kind of hard to talk about banking here. There's so many different spots, and it's banked a little bit differently. So, yeah, last year's winner was Nick Nickerson. Kevin Foster finished second. Ricky Hart Jr. got the pole for that race. So a lot of guys fast, plenty of guys that could be in the cut to win here tonight. And the quickest time happened on November 9th of 2019. And that was a 25.627 at 140 miles an hour. Now, of course, the quickest time tonight was a 26.8, so a little bit different timing there. But you know what? The pace truck is off, and we're getting ready to go green yet again. So it's going to be Nick Nickerson leading us to green. Cody Welch on the outside, and as the green flag flies, it's now the 2 truck with the big jump out front. He's going to jump up to the outside lane before he jumps down into turn 1. The 2 with a nice lead out front. The 85 is going to be in second place, and the 99 of Brandon Jackson is going to be battling Brett Gusick for third as everybody dips down into the dog leg.
Yeah, you're going to start to see one of the most iconic elements of this Phoenix Raceway track, and it's that inner dog leg there on the backstretch. It's going to be so pivotal for passing opportunities tonight. A really interesting element. You can legally go anywhere on that portion of the track, and it's going to make passing opportunities, well, very plentiful, provided you can get a good run here off the all-important turn 1. But yeah, to your point, Evan, just a great start from Nick. Just took off there on the restart, and I think tonight stars I'm hoping are going to be few and far between, but we've seen these last couple weeks, if you're able to get good starts, these guys up front have been tough to pass. So great opportunity there for the 2 truck, and Cody Welch running that new livery in the 85 trying to chase him down.
Yeah, great start from Nick, but that good-looking American flag livery, he really is chasing him down. There was a much bigger gap that Nick got at the very beginning, and Cody is really reeling him in. But now is one of those times when I feel like, as a racer, if you're sitting in Cody's position, of course you want to get up into first place. But if I were him, I'd kind of just hang out in that second position. Obviously, you don't want Brett to catch you there behind you, but if you can sit there with a good gap back to Brett, I don't think you really need to worry about passing Nick right now. It's only lap 9, almost lap 10 of 100. There's plenty of time to get on with that. I have a feeling that you might see these 2 guys, unless it gets easy for Cody, you might just see these guys kind of hang out up front, try and stay out of trouble for a little while.
Right, I think that the gap that the two guys up front have broken away is impressive enough that, yeah, I would want to keep that about a second to the guys behind and kind of break away, conserve tires a little bit by yourself, and then, worry about the long term later in the race. I know those guys are going to be thinking about each other all race, but right now the only pass in the top 5 is Brett Guzik getting by Brandon Jackson. So Brandon in the 99, who we talked about just a moment ago, doesn't love this particular track. He's not a huge fan of the truck, so not exactly in his element tonight, but the 99 is at least keeping pace, and he's keeping right behind him through the dog leg. It's going to be interesting strategically, who takes that outside line, who takes the proper way around the racetrack, and who takes the dog leg, because depending on your run out of turn 1, both are about equally as fast, and maybe in some cases that wider line is even a little bit better, but obviously you got to block that dive to the bottom, wash up into turn 3, so strategically in terms of passing opportunities, it's going to be really interesting tonight. But the driver I kind of want to bring a little bit of attention to here early, who is really embroiled in a battle for 8th position right now, just got passed actually by Mason Flagar there, the driver of the number 72. You see on the bottom, the young Mason Flagar slides into her. They get together. Holy cow. Okay, perfect timing as we go there, and perfect timing for my voice to crack. But yeah, the 45 truck, more cars getting involved. The 87's in it, the 97 of Eddie Hagee. But right as we go to it, Mason Flagar tried to, basically make the biggest move I've ever seen there on the dog leg here, at least in this series. And yeah, the grip in the truck just did not want to keep him on the inside of the line. And suddenly, just like that, the 45, who with a win tonight could have made the playoffs, just like that, she's behind the 8 ball early here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't think that was intentional or anything, obviously, but really unfortunate for the 45 truck of Ashley Molyneux. She's going to be in the pits right now, and I'm assuming that was a hard enough hit that she's going to have to use her fast repair. The initial contact wasn't terrible, but she bounced up into the outside wall pretty hard, and then she got a couple of good licks after that. Oh, yeah, there you see a really big hit, and an even bigger one came after that when somebody didn't really have anywhere to go, came and hit her head on. And, yeah, a little bit of back and forth on the radio, but, yeah, Mason apologizing because obviously he knows that was his fault. And, Ashley saying it's all right. Obviously she's not happy about it, but things happen. Yeah, that Ashley Molyneux is going to have to use a fast repair there.
Yeah, and a couple drivers there late in the wreck took massive damage. I mean, the 44 truck is the one that stood out to me. I think he was the one that kind of slid in there late, actually caught air because of how hard he ran into the 45 truck. So one more time, maybe an alternate camera angle here, you're going to see, yeah, just, with the momentum Mason was carrying from the bottom there, sliding up in front, the truck just didn't quite have that opportunity to slow up and really catch the grip again back into the left part or part of the corner. So yeah, that was a rough wreck. You see Cale Zook, the damage he took, and then gets piled into after the fact by, I believe it might have been Sean Britt. No, but the 98 of Sean Britt is making his debut tonight, but no, it was another truck there involved in that incident. Might have been, no, it was not. So yeah, second wreck of the race in quick succession, and yeah, I was about to go to Ashley Molyneux because, well, with the appearances she's made, and not just this season, but the series in general, knowing that we've made it official in this series that anybody who wins a race to this point in the season, they can make their debut next week at Auto Club as long as they win before the playoffs. They're in the playoffs, and Ashley called her shot tonight 2 weeks ago, and I was expecting big things, and I still am, but now is the question: how many laps is the 45 going to lose? Because she did have to take a tow back to the pits.
Yeah, and Mason Flagar is going to be given an EOL for that incident. So that is going to be unfortunate for him. It's going to make his race a little bit tougher here tonight. But you know what? Neither of these drivers are out of it. Ashley Molyneux, she's still in the pits right now, but she'll be back on track here before long. I believe she did use a fast repair. She still has a chance here, 2 laps down, but we've got plenty of time left in this race. And the 72, like I said, he's going to be given that end of line penalty, Mason Flagar, but still plenty of time for him to be able to come back to that. But that's just one of those things that these drivers are really going to have to watch here at Phoenix, because it looks like Mason really, he sent it down into that dog leg, and that's just one thing that you got to be careful of. A lot of these drivers probably don't have the experience. They're not exactly sure what their truck is going to do. They send it down into the dog leg, and then they have a little bit too much momentum heading up into the turn, so they kind of wash up into the turn, and that's really a problem if you've got somebody on the outside of you like Ashley was in that turn. So I feel like for some of these drivers, it's just a learning moment, and that's nothing against any of them. Things happen, and we're getting ready to go green here again.
We are indeed. The second caution of the day was another quick one, so now we're going to start on lap 16 of 100, making our way through in tonight's event. And boy, I can't wait to see how this call goes. Again, we're making our way through. Thank you for bearing with us, and thank you, Evan, for being here tonight to take a lot of the brunt force of the race broadcasting in general. But here we go, coming off of turn number 3, pace car onto pit road. Nick Nickerson, for the third time tonight, leads the field back to green. Cody Welch slots it on the outside line. Brett Guzik gets into the third spot, get actually underneath Cody Welch. Might have a chance at second here early on, but off of turn number 1, about all the same here at Phoenix.
Yeah, another huge jump for Nick Nickerson there, and he's going to be way out front. Brett Guzik had a chance there under the 85 of Cody Welch. It looks like he may have backed out a little bit. No, maybe not. He's still looking under the inside of him, and Brandon Jackson is now going to be looking up to the outside of the 04. We got a caution out again, though.
We do yet again, yeah. No, we always say it, Evan. Cautions breed cautions, and there is yet another one. Trying to look out for what would have inspired that. Nobody very noticeably off the pace.
Gary Moore, Christopher Hamilton, those two guys are a little bit off the pace. Not sure if they were involved or just had to slow up for it, but...
Oh, yeah. You can see significant damage to the 15 truck. Another guy who could have benefited from that new rule call about how if you win a race in the series, you automatically make the playoffs. And he is a guy that with the pace he's shown this season, but, of course, with his lack of races, could have definitely benefited him. So into turn number 3, just gets clipped there. You see by the 6 of Gary Wright on entry. That was enough to unsettle the back of the 15 truck and put him around. We'll get maybe the 6 truck's perspective on that. But, not too much went on there. Nobody was really gathered in the aftermath. I mean, the 15 truck just got loose and continued onto the pit lane. So third caution of the night, and again in quick succession. It almost makes you wonder, is that going to be the pace of the race going forward? And if it is, I know a lot of guys will start making strategy changes sooner rather than later.
Yeah, these are one of those times where as a driver you're really thinking about strategy, but the thing is we've had so many cautions so far, but you never really know how the race is going to go. This could be an indicator for the rest of the race, and this could be our next Nashville. Hopefully not, knock on wood there. But also at the same time, you never exactly know what's going to happen because we could come out of here and we could go green to the end. So that's where, as a strategy, it's really hard to make that call because you can't judge when you're going to have a caution, when you're not going to have a caution. But I feel like that's something that we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on. We've seen a couple of guys jump down pit road, but most of those guys have either been in the very back or they've already had some damage. We haven't seen any of our leaders jump down pit road, but I feel like it's not going to be too long before we get a couple of leaders down pit road.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. What I heard in the background was it was about 45 to 50 laps on fuel here at Phoenix, so almost a one stop. It's going to be close. He'll definitely have to take a splash at some point, but more realistically, knowing the tire wear, knowing grip is all important here in these more heavily banked corners here at Phoenix. Tires are really going to be the strategy call to watch out for. But I want to take a quick opportunity. It kind of the other side of my voice being totally horrible today is the positive to go along with the negative. My shirt got here. I know a couple weeks ago I ordered a Full Send Racing Network shirt from our lovely merch site on banditracingleague.com. Link is in the description. And felt like I'd get a chance to show it off. So got to remember what side it's on. Here it is. You see the logo there for Full Send Racing Network. It's the darker checkered logo. I don't know if you can even see it. You're starting to see it there. We got the logo here, logo on the back. You definitely can't see that one. You can see the corner of it there. It's pretty sweet. Actually, the first thing that stood out to me was I am pleasantly, really, really impressed with how comfortable this shirt is. Like, stuff like this in terms of the price tag, for how relatively inexpensive it is for merch of any kind. Any sort of proper clothing. It's really comfortable. So I can absolutely vouch for that on my end. As somebody who's heard about it, who knows all the work they're putting into it, all the stuff in the shop, maybe you don't necessarily get a ton of context for, but now I can tell you personally it's comfortable to wear, and I really enjoyed my FSRN shirt in black. Black goes with everything. It goes with the logo well, and it contrasts the colors of the channel quite well. So there's, as you can see there on the video we're playing now, there's some other products and more of a traditional orange for the Full Send Racing Network colors. So if you want the other style option, it was just this fit in a little bit better on the broadcast, a little bit more professional. But as you can see, there's so much there. You got driver-specific merch for guys like Nick Nickerson, Kevin Foster, both former champions, and general Bandit stuff as a whole. So you got plenty of options there, plenty of stuff to check out. And well, go check it out in the description, banditracingleague.com. You know where to go. The link is down there. But we're getting ready to go green. Here we go. Nick Nickerson alongside Cody Welch for the fourth time today. Third off a restart. green flag here at Phoenix Raceway for the tribute to the Station 100. And we'll send it back to Evan Wall as Nick slots in ahead of Cody Welch. And it's still, once again, Brett and Brandon side by side through turn 1.
Yeah, Nick and Cody with the big jump. Brett and Brandon, like you said, are going to be side by side, but the battle that I'm watching is right behind them. And sideways,
Whoa.
the 64 is going to be upside down. Curtis
Holy.
Yancey upside down as well. Huge playoff implications is there, as right there is the 51 and the 64 both go upside down. Both of those guys locked in, so I guess I guess there aren't that big a playoff implication, but two huge drivers there, the 51 and the 64, going upside down, and I believe collecting a couple other drivers.
That was a massive wreck. Holy cow. Like you guys could see the angle he hit the wall there. That was, I don't know about you, Evan, but when I see something like that, something seems a little bit fishy. The angle at which he hit the wall there and the speed with which he did. Wow. This has been a chaotic start to tonight's event for sure at Phoenix. And I'm seeing Tony Hilbrands and Ricky Hart, as well as Connor Sawyer. Speaking of playoff implications, Evan, a playoff cutoff driver in Connor Sawyer in the 3 truck. Only 4 points below the cutoff line. That could be huge for his season. So let's go to a replay and figure out what inspired any of that.
Yeah, Connor Sawyer he really needs a good race right now, either a win to just lock himself in or something. But yeah, there you see upside down. And Connor Sawyer, it looks like he might have got tagged from the back end trying to check up. Not exactly sure.
Wow. Holy, yeah, what a roll there. He saw contact made with Tony Hilbrands as he went under, really nowhere he was going to go. So that tangled the 92 truck as Ricky flew over him. But I'm trying to tell what inspired that original collision. Maybe we'll go to the chopper camera and see, relative to the dogleg, like the camera of the corner, where both guys were sitting on the line. Because, yeah, that was a sharp collision there. Holy cow.
I think the 64, Ricky Hart Jr., he was going in low, and I think the 51 of Curtis Yancey, he kind of wanted to split the middle between Ricky Hart Jr. and Vinny Hogan, but I assume he just underestimated how low Ricky Hart Jr. was going, because Ricky went low, but a lot of these drivers on the dog leg, or maybe not a lot, but some of these drivers, they'll go way to the very bottom of the dog leg. Ricky really didn't do that. He kind of just kept himself right in the middle. I believe Curtis probably just, he didn't see that he didn't go that low, because Ricky didn't know that there were going to be 2 cars on the outside of him. Curtis he jumped in there, wanting to make it 3 wide through the middle, but there was a truck there. There really wasn't anywhere for him to go. He just ran right into him, trying to make it 3 wide. And then a lot of those guys right behind him, they didn't know, or they didn't have anywhere to go, really. As wide of a track this is, it's crazy that the track got blocked, but, you know, it got blocked with a bunch of trucks being sideways and trying to slow down.
It's often the case here in these very highly competitive races with tons of trucks. I mean, we had a 40 truck turnout tonight. When you get a race where trucks are sliding across, barrel rolling in the air, oftentimes you're going to be unlucky like Tony Hilbrands was, and suddenly you're going to find yourself running smack dab into an upside down truck. And it's not a question of how can you avoid that, because sometimes you can't, but it's just a question of, you know, how can you bounce back from it and you know, you change your approach going forward to be able to avoid wrecks, but also, you know, take your quick repair, come back and roll with the punches. And that's really what separates guys who can have a great race every once in a while from those who are, you know, competitive for the win and competitive for the championship. And speaking of competitive for the championship, as I squeak my way through the sentence, lights in the pace truck are off. But let's take a moment to talk about your playoff cutoff, or your bubble watch out of Las Vegas. So your 2 drivers above the playoff cutoff line early, the 2 drivers just above the cutoff for points, the top 12 in points aside from the race winners. It's Peter Murphy in the 38, last week's playoff, driver profile, a guy who's had some great results this year, including a 7th at Knoxville, qualified in 2nd at Mosport, but hasn't quite been able to turn that into a top result as of yet. Michael Ramos, 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, much more consistent, but hasn't made a ton of races. And Chris Ferreira tonight, not off to a great start. Same with Connor Sawyer, both tied at 252, only 4 points down.
Yeah, but we are getting ready to go green here yet again. The pace truck is off, and Nick Nickerson is back in the lead, jumping off to a big lead already, as he has every other time. Cody Welch with a fairly big gap on Brandon Jackson and Brett Guzik. This time, instead of those 2 battling, Jackson is going to have the lead, and we're single file for a little ways back. Vinny Hogan is going to be right behind those 2 guys. Kevin Foster, though, is looking at diving under him. for that 6th position or for that 5th position. Kevin Foster in 6th place right now. You have to go a little ways back before you get some side-by-side action, and it's the 94 truck is going to be to the inside of the 05, Nolan Gross. Hunter Henry inside of Nolan Gross. Those two guys are going to be battling for the top 10 position, but look at the 55 of Connor Zook trying to work his name into that battle.
Yeah, Connor Zook last week. We talked about the Zook connection from last week. Him and his brother Kale were teaming up to great effect. Now he's solo underneath Nolan Gross, like significantly damaged 05 truck. The 29 slides in front of him. Holy cow, another wreck here at Phoenix.
55 sideways, and we've got upside down. This is just...
What can you even say? What went wrong for the 29 of McQuiggan? Just was really loose off of turn number 3, it seemed. I think he was at the time on the lead lap, and he still is, so still sitting there in 10th, but whatever it was for McQuiggan, he was just sliding it through turn number 3 and 4, and that kind of unsettled the truck and had him well off the pace in front of Connor Zook there. So 5th caution of the day. Let's see what brought that one out and see what went wrong for the 29 truck.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that replay. Tempers flaring in the driver chat. Good thing we aren't listening into that, because that would definitely not be appropriate for YouTube. A bunch of guys not happy, as you can imagine, but I believe that was the 29 truck was woed up there on the front straightaway, and then the 55 right into him, and you can see the 35 hard on the brakes, really not much anywhere he could go, and just sliding into the accident after it was already over. Looked like he may have locked the brakes up or something. I don't know exactly what happened to Peter Murphy there.
There we go. Let's get maybe a different camera angle there off of turn number 3. Yeah, you see the 29 was just all over the shop on the outside of the line there. So let's go back and see what happened to Joshua McQuiggan to kick that whole thing off. And so here's the 29 right in front of Michael Ramos, a playoff cutoff driver. Didn't think he'd be able to make the race, but turns out he has. That kind of looks to me like internet issues. It looks like he just totally lost connection. And here on iRacing, we like to think they're null and void. So many of these guys have pretty stable internet connections, but sometimes even if you drop for a second and you lose track of where you are on track, well, stuff like that could happen pretty quick. And yeah, Joshua McQuiggan, who remains in 10th, really effectively has only made it to 2 races, but again, a win tonight for anybody, including the Port Colborne native, could put you in the playoffs. So significant damage to the 29 truck, but again, as long as you're in the race, that's all you care in a championship perspective.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of netcode rewatching it again, and I believe the netcode kind of caused him to get together and lose it. And he was doing his very best to save it, but unfortunately behind him they were battling really hard, and I think that 55 truck was coming out from behind another truck in that battle and really didn't have anywhere to go, but right into the back of the other truck. He didn't see him till it was too late from where he was at, and yeah, unfortunately that's just caused our 5th caution of the night. Hopefully there won't be 6, but we're on lap 31 of 100. We'll have to see what we've got coming up. We got 40 trucks here at Phoenix, but you know what? They're getting more damaged, but hey, that just makes for some good racing here at the end. Lights are still on the pace truck though, and it's Nick Nickerson and Cody Welch up front. Brett Guzik and Brandon Jackson going to be 4th and 3rd respectively. Brandon's going to be in the 3rd position right now, but yeah, I'm just doing everything that I can to try and talk. Michael Ramos is another driver that's back there a little bit more. He's on that playoff bubble trying to work his way in, as are a couple other drivers. And Michael Ramos is definitely one of those guys who wants to see the 85 Cody Welch come out here and win. If there's anybody that is a bigger Cody Welch fan than Peter Murphy, Michael Ramos, Chris Ferreira, and Connor Sawyer, I don't know him, because any one of those guys, they want him to come out here and win, because that really just helps him, or helps them get into the playoffs. Because once Cody Welch locks himself in, that just bumps down that top 12 drivers. He ends up getting in on the win instead of getting in on the points. I know we've already talked about it. We've already explained this, but there may be some of you that are new or don't exactly understand it. But so yeah, the 2, the 4, the 99, all those guys are locked in. And some of those drivers on the bubble, they really want to see Cody Welch win, so that it's a little bit easier for them to get in the playoffs. But yeah, you were highlighting Michael Ramos there a second ago, Marshall, sitting in 7th position, and he's really doing a great job. If he can keep working his way up. He just barely avoided an accident there. He's going to have do a great job and work his way in on the bubble, but the green flag is flying again. The 5th caution flag of the night is going to be put away, and the 2 truck is going to have the jump. Not as big of a jump as last time, and Cody Welch isn't going to be too far behind, but Brandon Jackson is going to be a little bit behind them, but a caution out again right as they're making it 3 wide. The 4, the 99, and the 85 all 3 wide. There's going to be a caution yet again, and it's the 76 truck of Mark Allen Bivens going to be the one involved.
Well, thank you sincerely, Evan. That was one of the most impressive, pieces of commentary I've seen. Got a full caution to caution there, so thank you for giving me a bit of a break there. But yeah, Mark Allen Bivens we're seeing is the guy on my telemetry that was off the pace there for a moment is looking fine right now. That 76 truck looks virtually flawless. So we will go back a little ways and see what brought out caution number 6. And at this point, yeah, if there was any questions that cautions are going to play in a strategy and how guys approach the race, there's no question any longer. I think if I'm anybody here in the top 10, start preparing, start assuming that cautions are going to be frequent, and if you do, maybe you're going to space out your pit stops and maybe try to take them a little bit earlier to conserve track position. Because if you can lead the entire race, and if you're a guy like Nick Nickerson who's really good at restarts, then you might be in business for the rest of the race. But let's go back. We're seeing Joel Wiggins also involved, and here is your replay of the 6th caution of the night.
Yeah, the 76 goes in. The 68 of Wiggins is up there on his outside, and Mark Allen has Bill Harkins right there at his quarter panel. And I think Mark Allen was trying to leave room for Bill Harkins down there, but the 68 truck, I don't think he knew that, and he ended up really just driving into his door. Yeah, I think Mark Allen was anticipating it being 3 wide, the 68 truck. He was not. He was not at all anticipating it being 3 wide, so just a miscommunication of drivers right there, really.
Looking here at the replay, though, I want to make sure there was no contact. And I know it doesn't look very apparent from there, but the angle he came in and that extra little bit of speed the 76 had in the corner at the very end there, I'm wondering if he had like a netcode collision off the 11 to Bill Harkins. If maybe the 11 got into him in netcode there, you can kind of see the way he slides up into him potentially there.
He definitely could have netcoded a little bit off of Bill Harkins, but if I had to guess, I would assume that he drove in that corner, he left the hole, then Bill went in to kind of fill that hole because he saw that it was there and the 76 wasn't going to be able to get back down there. And when Mark Allen saw Bill there to his inside, I think he just wanted to give him a little bit more room, and unfortunately, trying to give him more room, it ended up the 68 was up there and he couldn't do that. And yet the 76 is going to be given an EOL here for that caution there. He immediately, as soon as it happened, apologized, but yeah, he's still got plenty of time to work his way up, especially if we get a couple more cautions, he'll have time to get his way back up through the field. So definitely not a day ender for Mark Allen Bivens in the 76 truck, but it is going to hinder his progress just a little bit.
Yeah, without a doubt. But the great thing about Mark Allen Bivens and so many of the younger drivers in the series, especially the ones who are as talented and mature as Mark Allen is, as we've seen the entire season, is that they first of all do a great job to apologize when they make a mistake. But from what I've seen so far, especially again, I'm going to go back to Mark, but Mark Allen has just been stellar this season. Like, he's made massive leaps and bounds from last year, where he was already quite competitive. But I think it all comes down to just that maturity, that ability to learn, that willingness to learn from your mistakes. And Mark Allen has it. I know Mason is going to have it. And all these younger guys, if they're going to make little slip-ups, I know they're going to learn from them and improve. And that's what I love about the series. And I think that's why this season, maybe tonight's not the best advertisement for it, but the series in general, I think, is much cleaner at this point than we were this time last year. So we've made massive improvement. And speaking of massive improvement, very quickly, one driver I want to highlight, because she is now back on the lead lap thanks to all these lucky dog cautions, is Ashley Molino, driver of the 45, has a new 45 truck and is looking to make it in on a win for the championship. So keep an eye on Ashley Molino, and she is back. I could definitely see, Evan, I don't know about you, but she's one of those drivers I wouldn't count out to make her way back all the way through 33 trucks.
Yeah, we may not like these cautions up in the broadcast booth, but you know what? Down there, Ashley Molino is loving it. I bet she's wishing for a green flag right now, though. But the pace truck is off, and a huge jump again for the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson. Cody Welch going to try and hang in there as best as he can. And the 99 to Brandon Jackson. The 04 yet again are going to be sideways down into turn 1. I don't know how many times I have said that tonight, and it probably won't be the last. Those guys battle side by side in the dog leg. But look at the 8 truck of Kevin Foster jumping down low, trying to work on Benny Hogan, who's in 5th position right in front of him.
Looking a little ways further back, we have a 3 wide between Mason Flagar. That's the 29 of McQuiggan. And I think on the outside it's Andrew Zook. And man, if you want to talk about 3 guys who have had quite an eventful race so far, now kind of settling back into the order of things, and a great battle there for position. That's the 10th spot. That's Flagar keeping the spot from Terry Condis, who's going to go high. And again, you're seeing just how crucial the dogleg is here in terms of strategy. But up front, Brett Guzek not too far behind the 85 of Welch. We could see our first swap into the top 2 all race so far.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. These guys up front, they're relishing any moment of racing that they can get, hoping that it'll stay green, but you never know when there's going to be another caution. I feel like those back-to-back cautions and so much of just pacing, it gets guys really antsy and gets guys really ready to race. And so now that we've gone back green, these guys are just all out, flat out, ready to go. The 2 of Nick Nickerson off to a huge start. Cody Welch trying to do everything he can to run him down. Brett Guzik, Brandon Jackson, all these guys getting real racy here up front. We're kind of spread out right now, but you saw we were real racy for a minute, and that's how tracks like these kind of play out. They'll spread out, and then they'll bunch back up, and they'll spread out. That's just kind of the way that these things go, but yeah, going a little bit farther. There's the 94 of Hunter Henry, one of the fan favorites right there, losing a spot to the 27 of Michael Ramos, but he's definitely going to be fighting back. The 29 as well is going to be right on here's bumper, and the 72 of Mason Flagar, he's fighting up there on the outside.
Yeah, he is going to take a run down the outside of McQuiggan. I think he's going to get the spot into the braking zone, but the question is, can he hold the inside line? Can McQuiggan? And he can, so the 29 gets back in front, going to hold down the 9th spot, now getting the draft on Hunter Henry, and Michael Ramos up there in the top line. Again, tonight's huge for him on points. It's great that he was able to make it, but Michael Ramos could be a dark horse to win the entire event, and if he does, again, remember, that just opens up a playoff spot for somebody else. So some of these playoff guys, if they know that big picture situation, that if a playoff driver in on points wins the race tonight, that just opens up a spot for them. But we got a 7th caution of the day. Who is involved in that? We see Trey Ellis.
On the front stretch.
Yeah, Trey Ellis involved. Connor Sawyer, who again tonight needs to make it in on points, and unfortunately is not off to a great start in that regard tonight. Eddie Haggie's got damaged. And there you go, 7th caution of the night. But Ricky Hart Jr. also has gone back to pit road. I mean, he's in on wins. He's got 2 in the season, but that is unfortunate to see for Ricky Hart Jr.
Yeah, Ricky Hart Jr. fairly frustrated on the Skype camera. He's taken his VR headset off. So if I had to guess, he's either done for the night or he's going to have a good bit of damage to repair right here as we try and see our replay. We can figure out what happened, but a good bit of guys heading down pit road, or at least a couple. The 3 truck going to be one of them heading down pit road.
So this should be it here. So, oh yeah, coming off of turn number 3, Victor Weaver gets tagged by somebody, and this is the aftermath we need to watch for. Everybody coming down to speed, nothing all too noticeable. So the race on pit road happening as we speak, so we'll keep you updated. Terry Condis, the only driver not to get onto pit road, but let's get a replay here just to see big picture what went wrong. So that's the 23. I think it's going to get tagged by Sawyer in the 3. Where does Ricky Hart get involved is the question.
Oh, Ricky's going to have some trouble with that 3 of Connor Sawyer, and then there you saw the 05 of Gross with really nowhere to go, and I believe Trey Ellis didn't have much of anywhere to go either. Riding along here with Ricky Hart Jr., and you saw he did everything he could to try and get it slowed up, but Connor Sawyer was trying to save it, and Ricky Hart Jr. was trying to slow up so that he didn't get into him, but he just had so much momentum on that straightaway that he really didn't have much of anywhere to go. But there you can see right now the front of our field, it's Terry Condis and Curtis Yancey out front, Anthony Caetano in 3rd, Eddie Haggie in 4th. That's what the current order is right now, but we'll have to see what it looks like once possibly some of these other guys head down pit road. There you see the 73, or the 79 truck, sorry, of Caetano heading down pit road, and a couple other guys might head down pit road as well, but we'll have to see where our leaders stack out after a little bit of shuffling here.
Yeah, so Curtis Yancey is going to be the first truck on track not to pit that last time by, but your effective race leader on the traditional strategy, the winner on that pit road cycle of those who came in from the lead, the 85 of Cody Welch is going to jump Nick Nickerson by 1 spot, so the 85 truck will take over the 6th spot and move up well, even further in the order, and all those guys up ahead need to make presumably an additional pit stop. I don't think you can make it to the end on 54 laps of fuel, but certainly going to, at minimum, have to take a slightly longer stop, provided we don't get a caution in the next couple laps. So there you go. For all you Cody Welch fans at home, hoping tonight is the night where he gets that first win, or you're a fan of a playoff driver in on points, and you really want a spot to open up for a Connor Sawyer or a Christopher Ferreira because Cody wins in on, or gets into the playoffs on wins. Well, keep an eye on the 85 truck all night, and he's always a fun guy to watch. Same with Nick Nickerson, whether he's a little bit consistent or not, wins all the time, but he's a fun guy to watch. And I don't know about you, Evan, but I can think of at least probably 5 great battles between the 85 and the 2, and tonight I'm sure is going to be no different.
Yeah, the 85 and the 2 are just they're 2 great drivers in general, but they're both so good that they obviously see each other a lot on track, and that causes some great battles on track as both of them are really battling for position. But here we have a good look at our pace truck, and you can see the lights are going to be off. It's going to be Curtis Yancey leading us to green. Ashley Molyneux in the 45 is going to be on the front row on the outside line. The 08 of Jason Romey is going to be second row inside, and directly next to him is the 87 of Daniel Stein. Really good to see him back on track. He's a guy that we've seen on and off for a while due to I believe deployment, not able to race as much, but always good to have him here. Good to race, good to see him up front. But the pace truck is going to be off. The 51 of Curtis Yancey with a really big jump down the front straightaway, and he'll be diving down into turn 1 with the 45 falling, but we're 3 wide for second position. The 85 shooting
what a move.
with a huge jump there. The 87 going to be on the outside, the 08 of Romey to the inside, and we are spreading 4 or 5 wide.
What a pass by Cody Welch, but Brandon Jackson, a massive inside move there, down about 3 drivers through the dogleg. The 99 truck is not waiting around, and these guys on new tires, he's going to go around.
Sideways. He turns himself.
Avoid trucks. Come on, everybody, out of the way. There we go. Nobody involved in the aftermath, as far as I can tell, but you couldn't have said it any better, Evan. He turns himself, and I know he wasn't loving it. He wasn't feeling the trucks this season in general, or Phoenix. It was a big move. The tires would have been hot, and just like that, the 99 truck couldn't quite keep up with the action of Action Jackson.
Yeah, definitely some content right there for Mr. Street Boss 24, the 99 truck. Action Jackson pushing his truck to the limit. Yeah, he just sends himself around, coming off the corner, trying to get on the gas as hard as he could. Here, we'll watch it right from the back. We'll watch it from the inside view. Watch Brandon Jackson's hands. Turned all the way to the right. A great job not to hit the wall. Or he did hit the wall right there, but not to hit the wall too hard. And yeah, thankfully everybody able to get out of the way. But unfortunately, that is going to be our, I believe, 7th caution of the night here at Phoenix.
I just want to take a moment to highlight this 3 wide pass in the first turn off the restart for the lead. Let's go in truck here with Cody Welch in the 85 just to get a better look at that from start to finish. So here he is under pacing. You see in the outside of the 3rd row here. So let's watch his reaction time. A great jump, actually better than Stein in front, despite being a row back. Sends it up the inside. And at this point, Evan, this is where I would have backed out, but that is the reason I am not in the contention for the championship in this series. And he is the 85 truck up the middle. Beautiful move. That was textbook, and that's some Cody Welch level driving. That balance between aggression and talent that you don't see from too many drivers anywhere else.
Yeah, that was definitely very aggressive. Maybe a little bit of changing lanes before the start-finish line, but nevertheless, a great move from the 85 of Cody Welch, able to send it in there, and that's why he's sitting clean in 3rd place right now, and definitely a driver that I wouldn't say is extremely aggressive, but he's one that is getting more aggressive, and I think it's only doing him good. He's only becoming a better driver the more aggressive that he gets. In my mind, he's kind of the same place as Ricky Hart Jr., where they're both very good drivers, but neither of them are extremely aggressive, and both of them are doing better to work on that side because they can obviously handle the car when they get into those situations. And they're both, in my opinion, doing a really good job to become more well-rounded drivers and kind of put themselves in situations where they can benefit, just like that, making it 3 wide. He's obviously a good enough driver to do that, and he did it. He sent it in there. He made the pass work. And yeah, like I said, that's why he's sitting in third place right now.
Well, I'm going to take a brief moment. I need to go grab some more water for myself in the endless quest to do this broadcast to an acceptable level. So, Evan, I'm going to take a brief moment, but I will put up the schedule here for the remainder of the season. So maybe we can talk a little bit about what to expect next week to round off the regular season, and then what the playoffs are looking like, especially with our new format with the round cutoffs and everything that was announced by Bill this past week.
Yeah, so that sounds great. We'll have a nice little conversation here. We'll talk for a second. So, yeah, we've got the schedule coming up. Let's see what we've got. Auto Club next week, and that's going to be our regular season. That's going to be the last race of the regular season. So definitely tune in for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And real quick, anybody that's watching, go ahead and put in the comments right now. Who do you think is going to win the race tonight? We got Curtis Yancey up front. Do you think it's going to be Cody Welch? I know we got a lot of fans of him. Do you think it's going to be Nick Nickerson? Kevin Foster could possibly do it. Who do you think is going to end up winning here tonight? We've got Auto Club coming up in round 1. Is going to be a lot of fun. We're starting off with New Hampshire, 100 laps around that track. A really fun track, one of the best short tracks on the service. It's going to be a great time and a lot of fun to watch. We've got Dover, Watkins Glen, Pocono as well. All those tracks are going to be really fun. Round 2, we've got our second dirt track, Eldora, Darlington, Myrtle Beach. Round 2 is going to be really crazy. Then round 3 is going to finish with Talladega and Charlotte. 2 really fun tracks. So we've got a really good playoffs coming up. But you know what? Before we get that playoffs, we got to get tonight finished. We're on lap 53 of 100. We're over halfway. And guess what? The pace truck is pulling off the 51 of Curtis Yancey, leading us to green yet again. Second row, side by side. It's going to be the 85 and the 45. And Nick Nickerson is going to be sticking his nose in, trying to make something happen there. The 85 is going to have the advantage, and the 2 of Nick Nickerson is going to be directly behind him. Curtis Yancey still going to have the lead, though. The 45 going to stay high while some of these other guys go down onto the dog leg, and the 85 is going to have second place right now. Cody Welch solidifying his second place position, but the 45 of Ashley Molino is fighting back on the outside. She's going to have to run here coming down into turn 1, but the caution flag is going to be out again, the 9th caution.
Well, once again, the 9th caution of the day comes out, and we've had a bit of a break these last couple weeks. We've had some great races: Michigan, Texas, Las Vegas. But, sometimes some of these more traditional short tracks, these more competitive, tightly packed affairs can lead to races like this. And I'm sad that it is, but that is number 9, and certainly in terms of strategy, it's brought the 45 Ashley Mono back in this race, and if she wins and shakes up the playoff order, that might be not a bad thing at the end of the day. So. The 29 and the 87 involved, it was McQuiggan and Stein getting into each other, and let's go back a little ways, go to the trapper camera and see exactly what caused that contact.
Yeah, 3 wide right there, and maybe a little bit of net code, but just he got turned, and then once he got turned, there wasn't any way that he was checking up. But one thing that I noticed really, a close call there for the 99 of Brandon Jackson. He was almost involved in that. He went from running in the top 5 to almost getting in that wreck, but really lucky to just squeeze by that. And then the 38 of Peter Murphy had to head down pit road in order to avoid any damage there. But luckily that's the good thing about league races here instead of official races. Peter Murphy able to head down pit road. He got the black flag for speeding on pit road, but they were able to get that cleared up because he was obviously avoiding an accident. So able to get that taken care of, and hopefully we'll be going back green here again. The lucky dog is going to be going high, and the lucky dog is going to be Mark Allen Bivens in that 76 truck. He should be getting back on the lead lap now, if I'm not wrong, and Mark Allen Bivens being scored right now in 31st position, and he should be the last car on the lead lap. Connor Zook is going to be behind him in 32nd, 2 laps down, along with Hilbrands, Weaver, Murphy. Gears is going to be 3 laps down in 36. Trey Ellis, 11 laps down. Ricciard Jr., 13 laps down. I believe his night is finished tonight. If you look on his Skype camera, I believe he has a big old pitcher of beer. So Ricciard Jr. having a good time, even though he's out of the race, just having a good time watching. And then Gary Moore is going to be out of the race as well, 29 laps down. Let's
get a quick beer shot here from Ricciard Jr. always a fun loving guy. He's always spamming stuff in our chat, but we appreciate it, and we love having him. There you go. There's the Ricky Hart Jr. shot. Oh, he's putting it away.
David Leakey with a glass as well. Not exactly sure what that was. A smaller glass. I'm assuming maybe whiskey, but you know what? It could have been Gatorade, Powerade. I don't know. Jason Greenwell, I believe, with a water bottle. Bill Harkins with a water bottle. Nick Nickerson with a spit cup or something like that. I don't know what these guys are drinking. We're going to say everybody's drinking water.
Yes, as we should. We want to stay on YouTube, and YouTube can be pretty strict about some stuff. So, yes, everybody drinks water in the Bandit Racing League. We always like to stay hydrated, and, of course, don't drink and drive, and that applies to sim racing as well. So, yeah, very very clean here in the Bandit Racing League. And
yeah, Ricky Hart Jr. is out of the race, so he's allowed to do whatever he wants to do.
Right, exactly. Good save. Thank you, Evan. Yeah, and we're all clean here in the Bandit Racing League. The only thing not clean about this broadcast is the back of my throat. Hence why the the vocals of this broadcast so far have been the way they have. So, gotta love phlegm. It's a fun word to spell, not a fun thing to have. But yeah, overall, thank you guys for sticking with us. We're now 40 laps left in our second to last race of the regular season here at Phoenix. And very quickly, we want to give a brief shout out to a fan from possibly the YouTube side, but certainly our social media. We have a viewer called Riddick Sweet is his exact name. He supports us on Instagram, and today is his birthday, so he was looking for a birthday shout out. So there you go. Thank you for supporting us on Instagram. And speaking of which, we are on Instagram. Check out the new page. We're always posting updates. You'll know about race broadcasts when they happen. We're posting some old clips of old races, great finishes. So we have a presence on Instagram. Go check it out. The link's not in the description yet, but look up Bandit Racing League. Just combine the words together on Instagram, and you will find our page. So thank you for that. Shout out to Riddick Sweet. Happy birthday. And shout out to Cody Welch having his birthday on Friday. But green flag, it's Yancey, Molyneux, Welch, Nickerson, Foster, your top five, side by side, going Welch and Nickerson into turn number one.
Yeah, a great battle here, the 85 and the two guys that we've talked about how well they know each other and how much they've raced together. And right behind them, it's the 8 of Kevin Foster, 3 guys that are really great drivers that are battling for position right here, battling for third. But right in front of them, it's Ashley Molyneux, who's going to be battling with Curtis Yancey. She's got the nose up there. He just barely chopped it off, though. She almost had the nose up there, but now down to the inside, it's the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson. Nick is going to be side by side with Ashley Molyneux here with the 85 of Cody Welch right behind him.
Yeah, Ashley really battling for the lead now, but she's about to lose 1 spot in that quest to Nick Nickerson, the 2 truck, up past the 85. So making up for that slight loss on pit lane. Now he is up 2 additional spots, side by side with the 45 as we cross the line, 38 to go, and 45 truck trying to do whatever she can to stay in the picture. She's on older tires, but she loves it here at Phoenix. She called her shot a couple weeks ago, and Ashley Molyneux, you know how much she'd like to win this race, but it looks like Cody Welch is going to go with Nick Nickerson. She might find herself in 4th real quick.
The 29 of Joshua McQuiggan's almost causing an accident right there. Yet, I believe, coming off of pit road and almost causing an accident. If you maybe saw him in the bottom of the screen, he's going to be getting back up to speed. Thankfully now back up to speed, but yeah, back up front where this battle is really happening. Now looking at the 8 truck of Kevin Foster. Kevin Foster in the middle of that battle, really riding on board with him. In front, you see the 85 of Cody Welch right behind the 45 of Ashley Molyneux. And these guys are fairly single-filed out, but they're all close together, all trying to look for an opening, trying to make something happen. Maybe a little bit of contact with the wall there for the 85 of Welch.
Yeah, big contact. Now contact with
the
Hogan.
85 of Welch is sideways.
And Foster, no yellow. There's the yellow. Cody Welch, yeah, you saw off a turn number 3. Significant contact to the outside wall. Like, that was a hard lick, and yeah, what a no doubt affected his steering. You could see that in his very first left-hander after that into turn number 1. The 85 truck still in 11th on track, but wow, that his spirits overall for about 2 races in a row, besides the occasional mistake that he has to come back from. He has looked incredible, and really the first actual in-truck mistake I've seen from the 85 in a very, very long time.
Yeah, but luckily, the 85 of Cody Welch, I don't believe he lost too many spots. Maybe he did. Not sure where he's being scored right now. But yeah, watching the replay right here. He's in the middle of 3 wide. He's got Kevin Foster on his outside. And the 88 of, I believe that's Hogan, down there to his inside. And yeah, just a little bit of trouble right there, those guys being 3 wide. We've seen how much trouble 3 wide can cause. And now talking about pit road, we've got the 94 truck coming down pit road, but more importantly, your leaders of Curtis Yancey and Ashley Molyneux will be dipping down pit road. So an interesting call here, dipping down pit road on lap 66 of 100. And from your information, they should be able to go the full distance from here.
Yeah, that would be about right, and you could probably not say the same for the 2 and the 88, though. I will bring it up. The estimate I was given pre-race for that 45 to 50 number, I'm assuming it would be logical, as Curtis Yancey does beat Ashley Molyneux off of pit road. Cody Welch also on pit road, and same with Brandon Jackson, Brett Guzik, Hunter Henry. But as I was just about to say there, yeah, my estimate I was given of 45 to 50 laps on fuel pre-race. I believe that was just referring to completely under green. So the fact that we have had some cautions interspersed in that cycle potentially opens it up that these guys who pitted on lap 46 could make it to the end of the race on fuel. But I think at that point, Evan, the question would become about tires. You know, you're on 20 laps older rubber than drivers like Ashley Molyneux and Curtis Yancey. I mean, we did see there in that battle that, you know, Yancey and Molyneux were doing a great job of keeping up on older tires there. You know, Curtis was leading the field for a significant portion of that stint. So maybe not going to be as crucial as we think, but over the course of the next 33 laps, I'd much rather be on new tires. And the question is, if Curtis and Ashley can get through the field, move 17 spots up, I think that new rubber might help them. And if not, and those guys up front pit, well, just like that, you're somebody like the 2 or the 88 who's got to get through some traffic, and that can be easier said than done here at a relatively easy track to pass, but still a very short track here at Phoenix.
Yeah, this is a track that's relatively easy to pass, but the problem with that is you never know when you're getting passed. So it's going to be an interesting end of the race with the way that strategy is going, because some of these guys like Nick Nickerson, you know, according to our data, they can only go 45 to 50 laps, but if we keep getting caution flags, then they should be good. Just riding around here under caution, I'm sure most of these guys are shutting their trucks off to try and save any little bit of fuel that they can. So I would have to assume that these guys are probably going to be good on fuel from where they're at, but that's just something that we'll have to see once it gets to the end of the race. You never know. This could end up being one of those fuel strategy races where a couple of the guys up front are having to worry about running out of gas. You never know. That's definitely something that we'll have to keep an eye on. But you know what? The lights on the pace truck are off.
They are indeed. Just a couple drivers I want to mention before we go green. Benny Hogan sitting there in second. Another great run for the 88, qualified fifth. He is out on the outside of the front row. Not a bad spot to be tonight. Great on him. Kevin Foster sitting there in the third spot. Another guy has yet to get a win this season, but is second in the overall points. Could this be the night? Damage to the left side, but he's overcome worse before. Michael Ramos on the cutoff line picked a great night to go fourth at the moment. And Christopher Ferreira there, tonight's driver profile, has recovered to sixth. But here we go for the 10th time tonight, the 11th overall. Green flag here at Phoenix. Nickerson, Hogan, Foster's going to slot in. The GFR Racing guys might go to the inside together. They will not. So it's Hogan side by side, Ramos and Foster in turn one at Phoenix.
Ramos and Foster side by side. Behind them, Hamilton and Ferreira side by side. The two Christophers going to be side by side battling for that fifth position. In front of them, Kevin Foster has cleanly taken away third. Ramos slotting in fourth. Christopher Hamilton has the edge on Ferreira on the front straightaway, but Ferrara's going to have a little bit of an advantage here as he battles back down into turn one. And behind them, Jason Greenwell, somebody that we haven't talked about too much, is going to be sitting in seventh, followed by Sean Britt, Eddie Hagee, and Wiggins to round out your top 10.
Yeah, Sean Britt in the 98 making his debut tonight. Off to a relatively good start here in the series, currently sitting in eighth, running a much higher line than a lot of these trucks are.
4 wide, though. A little bit further back, Ashley Molyneux. Going to be 4 wide. Brett Guzik to her inside. 76 of Bivens. The 94 involved in that as well. So is the 85. A lot of big name drivers right here. 4 wide for a second, back down to 3 wide, now at 2 wide. Brecken on the back straightaway. The 72 is going to be around. The 07's around. The 51.
Yeah, Curtis Yancey, former race leader, was involved. I saw Ashley Molyneux just sneak by it there in the background, but yeah, it could have been significantly worse that a couple more guys got involved. But caution number 11 is out, and wow, I mean, we always say it, Evan, cautions breed cautions, but I think a large part of it is just kind of miscommunications lap after lap here in the dog leg, and guys just not knowing how to approach it when it comes to, how much room should I give to the person in front, and how much can I take for myself. But just like that, 11th caution of the day, and let's see what brought it out.
Yeah, that's one of the things about this track is we look at the replay again. We'll see if we can see what happened. It looked like a little bit of contact between the 44 and the 72, kind of shoved the 72 of Flagar up into whoever was on his outside. Watch it one more time. Yeah, I think the 42 or the 72 of Flagar got a little bit of a bump from the 44. That just sent his truck up the track a little bit, right into the truck that was on his outside. Really, when you're 4 wide, it's really difficult to. Well, it's not necessarily difficult to hang on to 4 wide, but the thing is, this track is so wide. There's so many different places that you can go, and so many ways that you could go about your lap. And when you're trying to get between other people and through other people, these guys are making really quick split-second decisions, and we've seen a couple times where that hasn't worked. Guys have made decisions, and there's just been other trucks right there, and it just doesn't work out for you. It ends up sending you around, and yeah, it's going to be our 11th caution of the night because of it. But the more cautions that we have, the more it helps some of these guys like Nick Nickerson, probably Ramos, and some of these guys that are trying to save fuel. But it's these cautions are really hurting some of our guys in the back, like Brett Guzik, who's sitting back in 14th position. Cody Welch is sitting back in 17th. Brandon Jackson in 18th. Curtis Yancey back in 20th. These are guys that are really trying to work their way up the field, and it's really hard for you to work your way up through the field when you're under caution and all you can do is pace around the track. But yeah, talking about Curtis Yancey, I shouldn't have mentioned him. He did have damage there. He's going to be pulling in the pits, as you can see. We'll see if he takes a fast repair. It doesn't look like he does. He may have already used it up, but probably trying to get as much damage fixed as he can.
Yeah, might as well at this point in the race. I think, compounding all of the issues he's had overall, he doesn't have a quick repair left in the bank. Otherwise, I think he would probably use it in this particular moment. But yeah, another caution here at Phoenix, and tonight is kind of feeling reminiscent, not necessarily of Nashville. It's creeping up there, but more so just generally the short track races we've had this season and the trucks in general. And I think it's just proving so tough to run these things in close proximity to one another, and they're a little bit back end happy at times, a little more slidey to my knowledge. And yeah, I would say that tonight is about par for the course at this point with the short tracks. But at the end of the day, it's still a relatively fun race overall. We've had some fun moments, and I have the feeling we're in for a great finish with some really interesting drivers involved. But on the left side, you see there, that is the best lap time every driver has run to this point in the race. So Nick Nickerson, the only driver in the 27 flats with a 27.06, and you see there Hogan, Ramos, Hamilton, good laps, but about 2 to 3 tenths clear is Nickerson of anybody, and that kind of lines up with the historical background of his abilities. And 4 wins on the season, last season's winner here at Phoenix in the Xfinity Series. The guy is quick, and now the question becomes, can a Cody Welch or a Ashley Mona make it all the way back up through the field and try to chase him down for the win tonight, or can Nick get number 5 on the season?
Yeah, but the lights are out on the pace truck. He's pulling into pit road. It's going to be the 2 of Nick Nickerson yet again. Benny Hogan on his outside, and the green flag is flying. The 2 of Nick Nickerson with the jump down into turn 185 is going to be following him unimpeded. 27 of Michael Ramos going to single file out through the top 3. The 83 and the 13, though, are going to be side by side. Jason Greenwell working on the outside of Christopher Ferreira, trying to make something happen. But behind them, we've got 4 wide. Ashley Molyneux, one of those drivers. Terry Condis, the 04, Brett Guzik with a huge send down to the inside. Great move from Brett Guzik, gaining a couple positions right there in the 04 truck. Inside, when they're going to be turned, the 45 into the wall, the 32 of Terry Condis piling into the back of him. No caution, though. Everybody staying green. Caution now, though, as they're wrecking in the back. Huge wreck.
Number 12 on the night. This is just becoming one of those races here at Phoenix. It's it's so competitive. Everybody isn't given an inch. You know, everybody wants any spot they can find, and trying to maximize your time under the green flag only leads to more yellow flags. And let's see here what happens. And Nolan Gross took the biggest hit of anybody, just gets plowed into by Caetano. Just didn't really know how to navigate that wreck. The 25 of Steve Ulrich does 2 full barrel rolls there, and really the start of the wreck is what's going to be most relevant to us, because I think it was Molyneux and Guzik that went around first, and I don't know about you, Evan, but those two are veterans of the series, 2 great drivers, and I'd be surprised if those two got into each other without some sort of outside interference.
Yeah, they really are great drivers, but the thing is, I think the both of those were just battling so hard. I don't think Brett really knew that they were 3 wide. Ashley was trying to give as much room to that driver on her outside as possible, and there you see a couple guys just piling in towards the end. But yeah, that's one of the things, is just knowing when you're 3 wide, and that's one of the things that's really hard to do, especially with an iRacing spotter. But yeah, if I had to assume, I would assume that Brett didn't know that they were 3 wide. He was just coming up to the wall, and then once you get a little bit of contact there, it's really hard to get off of that person. Once you get that momentum kind of sending you up into the wall, like Brett was on Ashley, and he got kind of turned, it was hard for... It would have been hard for Brett to try and really get back down once you get turned like that. But yeah, I think it's just something, cautions breed cautions, mainly because in this situation right now, I think drivers are just trying to race as hard as they can. Brett Guzik knows that if he wants to win, same with Ashley Molyneux, they both know that they have to go now if they want to win. They have to really work their way up there. There's only 22 laps to go, and these guys are sitting in 16th and 17th. Right now, I believe they were a little bit further ahead. They were more in the 10th position before, but these guys know that if they want to try and win this race, they have to go right now. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work out, and it just causes even more cautions.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of the trade-off here for when you got great racing. Some races here at the more competitive racetracks, you're going to get a bunch of cautions, and at the end of the day, number 12 on the day still hasn't been a very long race overall in terms of time. And if we go green to the end, we're only about 10 minutes away from the finish of this race. So, yeah, I don't blame guys for trying to capitalize on the green flag laps. And unfortunately, it just means when they capitalize too hard, we only get the opposite. So, unfortunate to see there. Just for fun, I'm noticing kind of a fun conversation here in the chat. In the background to Jennifer's question, yes, you can see the comments in the broadcast after the race, but I can sympathize with Cody if what I'm hearing in the chat is true. I also hate bees. They are not my thing. There are some people who terrify me, who just stick it out and just stand there and swat at them openly, but that is not me. I've had enough bad wasp and bee related experiences that I don't really mess with those. So I sympathize with Cody Welch, and there's no shame in not loving bees, at least to my knowledge. But aside from that, I also want to take a brief moment before we continue our intellectual bee conversation. Also, again, to mention the sponsor of tonight's race, and again, I wish I was doing it more justice in a voice that was more befitting of somebody who does jobs like this for a living. But again, the tribute to the station tonight is it's really important to us to be able to do again. And obviously, having Charles Oberg tonight, who is on the timing tower, and it's kind of nice that he is, because we get to talk about him and maybe put him on a graphic. But for both Christopher Ferreira, who's had a great race so far, and his spotter Charles Oberg, who were heavily affected by the incident, it's important to remember incidents like that and be very cognizant of PTSD, because it's something that is hard to quantify for those of us who aren't affected by it, but for those who are, it can be life changing. So it's very important to remember, and we're so very glad to have Charles with us, and to have Christopher still have him in his life. And for the two of them, just I wish them the best of luck tonight. They're on the outside of row number 3. We'll get on to the rest of the race, but again, we just wanted to talk about it. Very meaningful to us, and thank you, Christopher, for sponsoring tonight's race.
The pace truck is off, and we are going green again. It's going to be the 2 of Nick Nickerson out in front, but we're 3 wide for second place. The 27 of Ramos down there on the inside. Jason Greenwell was on the top and backing out right now. It's the 88 of Benny Hogan and Michael Ramos side by side. The 13 and the 83 of Ferreira and Greenwell.
Yeah,
battling it out there.
What a restart here so far. Side by side go Hogan and Ramos. 2 guys who could really use a great performance today, especially Ramos in the championship hunt. He's going to have to slot in behind Benny Hogan for the time being, but Jason Greenwell as well. Don't count him out. Remember how close he was to a win at Michigan. Now he finds himself back in the top 4, just in front of Christopher Ferreira, who's also needing this race for points purposes. Wrong graphic there. But yeah, Christopher Ferreira getting some spotting help from Charles Oberg, and I'm sure that's helping him quite a bit. He is up into the top 5 and doesn't appear to have any plans to stop. He's got Eddie Haggy with a significant bit of damage in there right behind him. But if indeed these drivers can make it to the end, Christopher's definitely got a shot here at the podium.
Yeah, he is. He's doing everything he can to try and work on Jason Greenwell in front of him. He's got Eddie Haggy right behind him. Really fairly single file right now, and maybe just trying to get a little bit of racing in there. But let's head a couple of positions back. In 8th position, we got Brandon Jackson. We saw him go around a little bit earlier, had that trouble, but now he's worked his way all the way back up to 8th, and he's trying to do everything he can to get back up there as well. With watching the little bit of a battle between the 98 of Sean Britt and the 97 of Eddie Haggy up in front of him. Directly behind Brandon is Cody Welch, 85, really trying to eke out that win here tonight. It's looking a little bit unlikely as the longer that the race goes on, but Cody still has plenty of time to get back up there. Right now he's sitting in 9th position, and he is trending upward, so we'll have to see if he can get it done in the next 15 laps. That's definitely plenty of time, but he's got a little bit of a roadblock there in front of him with a couple of guys racing, the 99, the 98, and the 97.
Yeah, a couple drivers in front he's going to have to weave through, but I would think on newer tires and just knowing how quick Cody's been all night tonight here at Phoenix, he's going to try to make quick work of drivers where he can and maybe, follow the path carved out by Brandon Jackson. But up front, Nick Nickerson, your race leader in the 2 truck, looking for win number 5 on the season. This is probably the best season of anybody so far this year, just like he did last season. And, well, he is comfortably about a second ahead of Benny Hogan, who's keeping up with him. But right now, he is all by his lonesome, and unless we get another caution, I would expect Nick to just kind of settle in and savor those older tires, because if Brandon Jackson and Cody Welch can weave their way through on new rubber, this thing might not be over.
Yeah, he's all by his lonesome, but Cody Welch definitely is not. He got the pass made on Sean Britt, and he's working on the 97 of Eddie Haggy. Right now he's to his inside. By the time they get back on the straightaway, he should have that position taken care of. Brandon Jackson is also working his way up. Cody Welch now up to 8th, Brandon Jackson up to 7th. And Jackson is going to be working on Christopher Ferreira and Jason Greenwell up in front of him. Those guys are all going to be in a little 3-way battle right there for 4th position. Greenwell is going to have it right now, but Ferreira and Jackson are going to be side by side directly behind them, trying to make something happen and trying to get up into that 4th position so they can battle with and try and challenge Ramos, Hogan, and Nickerson sitting in your top 3.
Almost a little bit of contact you saw there between Christopher Ferreira and Brandon Jackson. Christopher kind of off the pace there for the dog leg, but still somewhat to the inside. What an angle he just took. Nice and, well, not nice, objectively nice and far to the inside there below the yellow line. That might be the opportunity Cody Welch needs. He could just not, can maintain that much momentum through the corner. Can Christopher Ferreira, and he will. He is going to lose the spot out to Cody Welch, so Christopher's still doing well. 7th is going to be great for him in the points, but now out of the top 5, and all the focus goes now towards Brandon Jackson, who is once again on newer rubber and is making his way back towards Nick Nickerson. Let's put up the last lap time, and you'll see Brandon Jackson just that little bit quicker most laps. It wasn't last lap, but keep an eye on that tracker, because with 10 to go, that's what you're going to want to watch.
Yeah, we're getting down to the end of the race right now, and this is when it really matters now. There you see the 05 truck of Nolan Gross, and that's really going to mess up the 85 of Cody Welch. He's going to get in his way just a little bit. Brandon Jackson was able to squeak by, but Nolan Gross doing his best to try and stay up there out of the way. The damaged truck 3 laps down. He did a great job to stay up there out of the way, but it just really was an unlucky time for Cody Welch to catch him. But here you see Brandon Jackson, who is battling with Michael Ramos. Ramos in the 27 down there on the inside. Brandon Jackson, the white 99, up there on the outside. These guys are going to be battling for 3rd position. But the longer they battle, the closer Cody Welch gets in the 85 truck, back in 5th position. This is a 2-way battle right now, side by side, between the 99 of Jackson and the 27 of Ramos. But Cody Welch is working his way up there. You see him getting increasingly closer and closer in that camera shot, doing everything he can to try and work his way up. Brandon Jackson in 3rd, Ramos in 4th, Cody Welch in 5th.
Yeah, so many great battles happening here, but in this portion of the top 10, a little ways further back as well, Christopher Ferreira just got by Jason Greenwell, so back into range of about the top 5, but still got to make up a little bit of ground to Cody Welch if he wants to make his way back in. Further back, though, Christopher Hamilton having a good battle with debuting Sean Britt, and Kevin Foster right in front of them in the 8 truck. Only 7 laps to go. Not likely to take away the win, but overall, I think had pit strategy fallen a little bit differently, would have had a much better shot at the win.
Yeah, and out front, just driving away is the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson. Is there you see the battle with Welch, but yeah, Nick Nickerson just driving away out front. You can see in that camera shot right there how much of a gap he has back to Benny Hogan, who I feel like we haven't talked about too much. Benny Hogan started in 6th position. Right now he's sitting in 2nd place behind Nick Nickerson. Wrecking on the front stretch though. Caution is going to be out yet again. Curtis Yancey.
Yeah, Curtis Yancey, Tony Hilbrand's involved. Did Ashley Molyneux get in it? Yeah, damage to the 45 truck. So an overall pretty solid night is over for the 45. Molyneux, unfortunately, tonight probably her, not in terms of driving performance, obviously, but in terms of finishing result, probably her worst in the time she's been in the series. So not her night tonight at Phoenix after calling it earlier, and was just kind of put behind the 8 ball early after an early wreck. And just like that, we are going to, I believe, our 4th or 5th green-white checkered in about 6 races.
Yeah, we'll try and catch the replay right here. It was an incident between the 72 of Mason Flagar and the 92 of Tony Hilbrands, and as you'll see, just really a lot of net code right here. These guys, a bad camera angle right there. We'll try and get a better one, but I don't think these guys ever touched. They did a great job. They were racing really hard, trying to stay off of each other. Here's where you can really see it. Yeah, I don't think those guys ever touched at all. Just a little bit of net code. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that we do have to deal with racing online. You know, you have to factor in internet connections and things like that. A bit of net code, and that's really unfortunate because it's going to end the night of Ashley Molyneux, as you said, but most likely going to end the night of Mason Flagar and probably the 92 of Tony Hilbrands as well. Those guys weren't having the best run, but none of them were having the best run, but they were doing everything that they could to salvage it, and unfortunately that they're all 3 most likely going to be calling it a night here.
Well, now
you know what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, now is the all-important time that we do in many of these broadcasts, and it's often convenient because we have the chance right before the final restart. And again, just to remind you guys of our green-white checkered rules, if we do get a caution before we take the white flag for the last lap, then we will do one more lap. Is Nick Nickerson pitting here? No, he is not. He faked out the drivers behind him, and he faked me out too. But no, as I was going to say, so if we don't get a green-white checker, this will be the last caution. And if that is the case, as we often do here on the broadcast, so for both those of you watching at home and Evan and I and myself, feel free to leave down there in the chat. Who do you think is taking this win? Be biased if you want. Go based on knowing that the drivers from 3rd on back all have new tires, save for Ramos and a couple other drivers. So now's the time, Evan. Now's the all-important question. You know, you picked at the beginning of this race. I believe you picked Cody Welch or well, first of all, you got to remind me who you picked, but then who's your pick right now in this moment, knowing the tire strategy for everybody?
Yeah, you know what? I did pick Cody Welch, and I still like my pick, but I feel like it's really hard to bet against anybody but Nick Nickerson right now. I really think that Nick's going to pull it away, but you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to have to say it's going to be Brandon Jackson or Cody Welch pulling for the 85 or the 99. But you know what? I'm gonna double down, lock in my pick on the 85 truck of Cody Welch. I think he can do it. Like I said before, he's got the new paint scheme. It's almost his birthday. He's going to be going for that win. It's been a long time coming, and I think the 85 is going to make it into victory lane. What do you think, Marshall?
You know, if you want to talk about who in this race has had the most entertaining drive so far, as he often does, it would be Brandon Jackson. The guy came out here, literally, we had a conversation behind the scenes about 10 minutes before the race where Brandon said he was not looking forward to tonight. Like, don't look out for him. He's not going to have a great race. And like anybody in this series, whoever tells us they're going to have a bad race, he came out, he made a mistake, he did get in the wall, and he did turn himself. But since then, he's recovered. He's back to 3rd. He's on new tires, and he's on the inside row right behind the leader. Evan, nothing about my knowledge of this man tells me I should do this, but I'm going Brandon Jackson. And if he does, Evan, will there be a better interview in series history than this one? Well, let's make it happen. Both guys in the second row are who we're going with, but Nick may be the obvious choice, and don't rule out Benny Hogan. This is going to be another great finish. Get ready to go. Green flag here at Phoenix momentarily. the 2 truck, the control truck. The 88 on the outside. Then it's Welch and Jackson. 2 to go here at Phoenix.
Benny Hogan and Brandon Jackson are going to be the drivers side by side battling for that second position. The 85 of Cody Welch kind of going to be stuck up there on the outside. Going to be the 99 of Brandon Jackson coming away with second position. And he's really going to be the one that's going to have the chance to run down Nick Nickerson. Let's see if he can do it. Nick Nickerson out front. Brandon Jackson in second. Benny Hogan is going to be battling Michael Ramos for third. They're 3 wide. A little bit further back, Cody Welch is going to be sitting in 4th place right now. Wrecking on the front straightaway. I believe he already took the white flag. I believe it's going to be Nick Nickerson. There's no caution as of right now. They're going to be racing back to the checkered flag. The 2 of Nick Nickerson out front. The 99 of Brandon Jackson. I don't think he can catch him. I believe it's going to be the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson again as they head down into the corner and back onto the straightaway. It is. It's going to be the 2 of Nick Nickerson winning at his hometown track, making it 2 in a row for the 2 truck. Nick Nickerson with the win here in Phoenix.
Brandon Jackson gave him everything he had, but in the end, it is the man himself, 5th on the season. What a year. The fireworks going off in the background. The hometown boy gets it done for the 2nd season in a row, and maybe even more than that. I don't remember the last time we were here in Phoenix before season 8, but he does it again. Brandon gave him a run. Benny Hogan comes home for the final spot in the top 3, so we'll have to talk to him momentarily. Great to see that performance. You see trucks in the background. That was Brandon Gears was around, Mason Flagar around in that final wreck. I believe it involved Kevin Foster too, so in the overall points, that'll be huge. But take a bow, Nick Nickerson. You've done it again. You know, Evan, we try to be entertaining. We try to be fun. We try to say it'll be somebody else. But if we were to put money on this series, I don't know about you, but about 85% of the time, my money's going to this man. And he gets it done again tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you're a betting man, you know that Nick Nickerson is the safe bet every single night, no matter where we're at, whether it be road course, oval. But you know what? Especially at his hometown track, I don't know how either one of us could have bet against anybody except for the 2 truck of Nick Nickerson. And there he is doing his celebratory burnout down the front straightaway. Big smile on his face. Driver of the 2 truck, Nick Nickerson, 5th win of the season here at Phoenix.
Well, the way we've been doing this series for the recent past, we don't really mess around here on the broadcast. Once we have a winner, as we do right now with Nick Nickerson, we go right into it. So, you know, I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. Usually I would do the first interview of the night with the race winner, but I'm gonna take all the prep time I can with a little bit of water, get ready for my interview, and maybe how about this time, Evan, how about you take the reins and interview tonight's race winner, Mr. Nick Nickerson?
Hey, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's get ready. You see him there pulling in with the 2 drivers who are also on the podium, those being Benny Hogan in 3rd and Brandon Jackson in 2nd. Both great races in their own right. So let's give them a moment in the spotlight. They're going to park it on the finish line altogether. A really great moment, doing some standing burnouts. Nice move there. Benny Hogan as well. I feel like we still somehow underrepresent him tonight in his 2nd podium of the year. He really had to fight for it there at the end, but he lasted on old tires, and I feel like that'll be a big narrative of his interview in just a moment. But for the time being, Nick's doing burnouts, and just for something fun, why don't we catch him mid-burnout, and we'll go to your race winner as we speak. Okay, and here in the broadcast booth is your race winner with Evan Wall, Mr. Nick Nickerson, for his 5th of the year.
Hey, Nick, this is Evan up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha, man.
Well, first of all, a great race tonight, a dominant performance there at the end. Kind of just talk us through really your whole race and really what your fuel strategy was, because I know fuel was a little bit interesting. You pit a little bit earlier than some of the other guys. Talk us through the fuel strategy and just what you did to get yourself in victory lane here tonight.
Man, just kind of winged it. Yeah, just kind of pit when I felt like it was probably a good idea to pit, which is when I had about, 4.5 gallons left. I know there's a lot of yellow flags. Probably wasn't too terribly fun to watch. And fortunately, I had enough yellow flags on the second half to where I was able to save enough. I've crossed the start-finish line with 0.74 gallons, so just barely skimmed by with all the cautions after my pit stop. And but really, there was no real strategy I had in mind. So I was just gonna run the tank dry, get tires, run the tank dry, maybe take 2 tires, no tires for the last few laps if it was going to go all green. And but yeah, that was pretty much it, man.
Wait, you know what? You had just enough gas to get you to the
Yeah.
end and to get you some good victory burnouts there at the end. But I know
Yeah.
that you have a fairly good knowledge of Phoenix Raceway here. It's just a fairly good knowledge of racing in general. So what do you think it is that kind of caused a track like this to have so many cautions tonight? Do you have any input
Um,
towards that?
well, it's definitely not a lack of room. I think it's because there's so much room on the track that a lot of people have maybe too much ambition going into the corners. You know, like that dog leg's very inviting to a lot of people think like, oh, if I take the dog leg, I'm gonna make a pass. When in reality, you kind of almost never fully complete the pass unless you have a good run coming out of two. Um, Maybe turn 3 and 4 is a little bit deceiving, thinking that you can go kind of too wide. And if you go in there too quickly going into the bottom lane, you'll easily slide up and slide into the guy that's on the above you on the track. That's really all I could think of because to me, I think it's a great track to run. Maybe it just comes down to practice.
Yeah, I hear you. I definitely agree. It was a lot of fun to watch you guys up front. You ran a great race, even out throughout the back of the field. You ran a great race. But talking up, we've got Auto Club next week, and that's going to be our last race of the regular season. I feel
Yeah.
like you've had success at Auto Club before, but you know what? When I think of any track, I feel like you've had success. So how do you feel about
Yeah.
Auto Club?
Yeah, I can't remember last time I ran the trucks at Auto Club. I do like that track. However, it's a very drafty track. You ain't gonna run away with it by yourself by any stretch of imagination. So it's I'd imagine it's gonna be a lot like kind of Vegas, where it's almost super speedway racing. If it is, I hope so because it's pretty successful there. We'll just have to see. I mean, I'm looking forward to practice. I know California has the new I guess wall model where like you can kind of draft off the model or the draft off the wall, kind of make they have like I don't know, like an air buffer kind of model going on there. So I'm curious to see how the trucks will work with that. If we can really rip the wall, I think that's probably where guys like Cody and Kevin can probably really really find some good dividends.
Yeah, that'll be a big storyline
Hmm.
come next week, but that'll be something that we'll have to watch out for next week. But you know what time it is? Your time to the interview. Take it for yourself.
Yeah, man, just got to thank everybody that watches. I know I got a few haters. I'm sorry for Cody's fans. You ran a good race, but at that wall coming onto the front stretch is easy to get. Um, Man, I got to thank Big Red Propane for coming on Kevin and I's team this year. Really helped out. Um, yeah, man. Let's see. Full Send Racing Network, man. You guys do such a freaking awesome job, man. And I appreciate your broadcasts, even if there's quite a few cautions like there was today. But yeah, appreciate it.
It was still a lot of fun, and you know what? It's always great to talk to you, Nick. I have a feeling we'll probably be talking to you next week,
Hope so.
if not for winning the race, probably for winning the regular season championship. But we'll have to see. We'll talk to you next week, and
All right,
yeah, we'll
appreciate
we'll
it,
talk to you next
man.
week.
I appreciate it, man. Talk to you later.
You kind of get the idea. It's just been such a great season for him, and yeah, congratulations again, Nick Nickerson, win number 5, and now it is time for interview number 2 on the night. And if there's anybody I would be okay with speaking in a voice that resembles as if I had not talked in about 10 years, it is this man we are talking to next, Mr. Brandon Jackson. What an interesting night he had, and if there's anybody I'd be happy to just let do his thing and let talk it out, it is this man himself. He's jamming out here in the Skype call. Let's bring him in. Just a moment here. We got to get his Skype pulled up and we'll get set to go. But here we are. Let's just get him up. He is really jamming out here. Hopefully he keeps doing this long enough to go on screen. And almost ready. Oh, he's taking a break. Come on, Brandon, get back to it. Well, okay. Now he's paused a little bit. Hopefully he starts up again. But one of the most exciting guys in the series. One of the fan favorite. Now he's jamming out again. Here he is. Mr. Brandon Jackson. Let's get him in the broadcast booth. Hey, Brandon, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, hi, hello.
Hey, Brandon, how's it going? I've had a busy race. I only just hit puberty about 30 minutes ago, so I'm going through some stuff here. But in the background for you, Brandon, now 10 minutes before this race, not 10 minutes before, we talked to you, my man, and you said, and I quote, well, I'm not quoting exactly, but something along the lines of, this is going to be brutal. I am in a truck, in a track I don't like, in a truck I don't like, and you're sitting here in second. Now, first of all, let's preface this in one of the greatest moments Evan and I have ever seen. We had, and he turned himself. You did get loose off of turn number 3, followed up a pretty stellar turn 2 move, and you make it all the way back to second. Just say words, Brandon. Describe this race tonight.
Oh God, where do I start? First, I don't even know how I put it. I qualified third. Don't even know how that happened. I need to go see if my truck is illegal. I still don't think it's legal. But had that happen, then we rode up there in the front for the longest. Don't know how that happened either. And we pit around like lap 50, and I was like, well, I'm not going to pit for the rest of the race. I'm going to see what happens. I didn't care about this race, so let's see what happens. And had a good restart, and found myself 4 wide down the back straightaway. And next thing I know, I'm facing the entire field coming off of turn 4. Don't know how that happened. I was on the gas pedal. Truck had a lot of grip, and then it didn't have grip. It was one of the more surprising things that ever happened. I'm normally really good at saving a car or truck. Apparently not tonight. I don't know what to say. I think I ran out of talent, I guess. That's all I got to say. But coming back to second, it was a hell of a drive through the field. I mean, we were splitting trucks left, right, middle, 4. I think I was 5 wide at one point. I don't know for sure. But I don't know what you want me to say here. I don't know what you want me to say. Things happen very quickly, and I'm in second. Woo! NASCAR.
Woo indeed. Really, I just want you to say anything, because any second you're talking is any second my throat isn't trying to kill me. But yeah, Brandon, overall, man, it was another one of those exciting, typical Brandon Action Jackson drives. And the only reason you had that spin was because you'd made a beautiful move down the inside, like 8 wide in the dog leg the lap before. So it's kind of the way you roll. And I want to ask, because this is becoming kind of a recurring theme in the series, that we were away from it for a couple weeks, but now we're back with these very, caution-filled races where we're full of cautions, not a ton of green flag laps. So come playoff time, because you are comfortably punched in, though, on points. I don't mean to roast you, but you're lucky you got some wins under your belt there, my man. But that's fine. That's a separate thing. But no, when you get to the playoffs there and you give them hell, as I know you will, what are you going to do when you see a race like this? When you're 5 cautions in about 20 laps, how does your mindset change? And tonight you were lucky enough to get through, but if you have a track that isn't quite as easy to pass at, what's the strategy going to be in a caution-filled race?
Just stay up front. I mean, you really have to pick the time when you want to come down pit road, and that's the hardest thing, because I mean, like tonight, you could go caution after caution after caution. You couldn't even make a lap, and then that one time you decide not to pit and everybody else pits, you go on like a 10 lap run, and now you're sitting the odd man out because everybody has fresher tires, and you're sitting here thinking we're still gonna have caution. So it's a dangerous game to play. It's almost like a mini version of the Squid Game. You just pick your time and hope to God that it works. So that's my best say at it. My whole thing is caution, like a race field like this, just stay up front as long as you can. Try to take tires around like 3/4 of the way or halfway and hope to pray that they work. I mean, they worked for Nick. I don't know if maybe a couple more laps I could have probably got to him to give him the bumper, but I don't think so. I mean, the track like this is already hard enough to pass on guys that are on even tires. But once you get fast guys that are maybe only got like 10-ish laps between each other, it's not going to be much of a difference. We're going to run the same pace, the same line. It's going to be the line of who can hit the line the best and the most consistent. And obviously I choked there at the end. I screwed up turn 1 on the white flag, and that would have been my only shot to catch Nick if I had a good run off in 1 and 2 to get to him in 3 and 4. Probably do one of those Carl Edwards slides that he did at Kansas and see if it worked. But really, until the end, you just got to stay up front. That's what I want to do. I want to stay up front. I want to be up front. I want to lead all the laps. I'm getting tired of Nick's bumper. He's getting really old really quick. I'm tired of his bumper, so I'm going to make a change of that coming here soon.
I have a feeling everybody in the series is, and we'd certainly appreciate it up here if somebody would not hit that bumper, but certainly get a whole lot close to it week over week. But he's not winning these dominant races from start to finish. We're having enough cautions to keep it interesting. So it's been fun to watch, and another one for him, but another great podium for you. You've been racking the podiums up this season. It feels like anytime you're in the top 10, you're all the way up here in the top 3. So I have no doubt come playoff time you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I actually think that the freshly announced playoff format that we have clarified these last couple of weeks, I think it's going to appeal to your style quite a bit. Knowing that it's winning you're in the next round now. It's like point resets. It's proper winning you're in. It's not just about points. So do you think that new change is going to kind of suit your style well? And do you think if you can just focus on one track per round that you just need to win to get in, do you think that'll appeal to your ability to go for the championship this year?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna make things a lot easier for a lot of us. It's not now where in the playoffs you have one bad race like I did last year, and you can go ahead and just write your chance for the final 4 off. So a little bit easier with the points resetting. I like this format a lot better, and hopefully I won't have to stress too hard about it. And like I said, just try to win out. Once the playoffs come, it's gonna be a whole new me. A level up from what I am now is kind of insane to think about, but it does happen. So expect to see that here after. I think next week is the last regular season race, and then it's going to be a whole new level of aggression. So only good things can happen.
Well, hey, if there's not a good, or if there's not a better way to hype people up to come watch a broadcast, Brandon saying he's going to get more aggressive has to be the pinnacle of that. But you're so fun to watch. Action Jackson for a reason. And your actioning is what got you through the field tonight in a very, very short frame of time here. Not many green flag laps, but you fought your way through, and you're on the podium, man. I mean, first of all, I showed it that your shirt exactly matches your back wall in terms of aesthetic. It was great to get you on camera here. But aside from that, it was a great piece of driving, as you always do. And I'm so excited to see what this championship looks like for you. You were so close to the final last year, the final 4, and I know you're going to take another crack at it. But at this point in the broadcast, again, please talk. You know what to do. Shout outs, friends and family. You know what you do. Give it to us.
Man, gotta shout out every police officer out there. Foremost, hard job they do. I'm gonna be adding on to that here before too long. So everybody out there, be safe, and hopefully everybody gets to go and see their families after every shift. But other than that, man, everybody in the league, thank everybody coming out. It's been a struggle bus the last week and a half. No, not really a week and a half, but a couple months. So it's good to see we're still having a lot of people turning out. Got to thank Bill, all the admins are doing hard work behind the scenes, trying to make everything how it's supposed to be here coming up before the playoffs. So a lot of things going in motion. So I got to thank everybody behind the scenes. And it's got to give one more shout out to the Texas Aggies, Texas A&M, for pulling off the biggest upset of the college football season and beating Alabama. We like to say some certain things about the Tide, but I can't say them. PG show here.
At least I don't go to Troy. Oh, sorry. Is my mic on? My bad, guy.
I'm gonna talk to him after the broadcast. But that's really all I got to say, man. If anybody needs a paint, shout out to Evan Wall over there, buddy, and hit him up with the paints. He got that beautiful '99 automobile out there on the track week in and week out. So make sure y'all get him out. He does graphics. He does a whole lot of other things. And got to shout out to you, Marshall, because you're hitting puberty. God bless your soul. It's about time. And I will see you beautiful people in the Infield Care Center of next week. I have no idea where we're going, but I'll be there.
Well, hey, at least they can always guarantee if you're not feeling great about a track, then that no longer means you'll always end up in the Infield Care Center. Though you came darn close there with that spin, but Brandon, you lied to us at the start of the race. You came in and you were great at a track you didn't love. Always a pleasure, my man. It was great to talk to you. Thank you for being one of those guys that makes my interviews easy, and boy, did I need it tonight. But just to give context for everybody, I am 18. This is not the first time, so this joke is funny to me because I know, but not everybody does. So for those of you out there wondering, I'll be just fine. See me back next week, and I'll sound like a normal human again. But thank you, Brandon. Thanks for coming in, man. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later. Go Aggies.
Now, Evan, for a brief moment while I get Benny Hogan's graphic ready, would you like to speak on Brandon's comments regarding football?
Yeah, not really. Not really.
Okay.
Um, hey, at least, hey, my school's better than his.
Oh,
Hey,
perfect.
I will say at least I don't have to get happy because another team finally beat his team.
Ooh,
That's all I'm gonna say.
there you go.
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I would just like to say, as an impartial third party Canadian who knows, well, I know plenty about college football, but I don't have a personal stake in it. In terms of dynasties all time, in terms of the great teams in college football, the first one I think of is Alabama. So, it's like being the Tampa Bay Lightning in hockey or being the Warriors in basketball a couple years back. It's if somebody else beats you and it's that big of a deal, it means you're a darn good team to begin with. So there you go.
Exactly.
I'll put my stamp on that conversation, and thank you, Brandon, for providing your take. But now it's time for your final interview of the night with third place finisher Benny Hogan here at Phoenix. Another podium. I might be throwing his hat in the ring for most underrated driver, and he's going to be sitting down in truck with Evan Wall Media.
Hey, Benny, this is Evan Wall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, and obviously you're doing pretty good too. You got a third place finish here tonight, and I was looking back over some of your stats through the season so far. You had a 7th place at Chicagoland, 3rd at Michigan, 9th at Mosport, but then unfortunately went downhill a little bit. 29th at Texas, or 25th at Texas, 26th at Las Vegas last week. So kind of just talk us through what you did coming out this week and what you did this race here at Phoenix to get yourself in that 3rd place position.
Well, I spent a lot of time practicing with the guys. I take advantage of the practice sessions that they put up Monday and Tuesday, and just tried to get a pretty good feel for trying to run a fast lap, and then a good feel for running consistent laps. And wasn't quite sure it was going to be a caution field race like it was tonight, but running consistent laps, I believe, is really what propelled me to that finish.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were really expecting that as much as it was, but you know what? It was still a great race, and it turned out a good finish for you coming home in 3rd. But the problem with that is you're not exactly in the playoffs, and we've got the last race of the regular season coming up next week at Auto Club. So from what I'm seeing, I don't think you can point your way in. I believe you're going to have to win next week to get in the playoffs. Is that something that you think you can do? How do you feel about Auto Club?
I mean, I like it. I'm not really worried about the points. I had some stuff that I couldn't make all the races this season, and so I'm just out here trying to have a good time with the guys, and you know, try to make myself better for next season at least. Anyway.
Well, you know what? That sounds good. You can definitely do it if you get more nights like tonight when you can really put in the practice. You're a great driver, and you obviously had a great finish here tonight, coming home in 3rd. I'll be pulling for you next week, though. Hopefully, you can get that win. I'd love to see you in the playoffs this season, but it wouldn't surprise me if you're in it next season as well. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up. We'll make it quick. So now is your time to shout out whoever you want to shout out. Take the broadcast yourself. Take the microphone. Say whatever you want to say.
No, I just like always, I appreciate Bill and all the guys, all the admins that take the time out of their busy schedules and their lives to put this stuff on every week, give us time to practice, give us time to race, give us somewhere to come together and have something in common. We can put the world aside and come and have a good time. And you know, I always say thanks to my family, my wife and kids, as always. And that's just something I get to do for fun to relax, and so I just enjoy it, and I appreciate everybody's involvement that makes the show go on.
Yeah, spoken very well. Glad to have you here in the booth, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week. If not, I'm sure we'll be talking to you plenty next season. So have a great night.
All right, you too.
So just something to throw out there. I only just realized my mic was off. So it's reaching that point in the broadcast. Basically, long story short, Benny Hogan, very underrated driver in the series, and somebody to watch out for going forward, especially if he's gearing up for next season. But well, that being said, we're coming towards the end of the race tonight, and as we always do here at the end of the broadcast these days, we're going to go to your final race results now that the interviews are over. It is Nick Nickerson, your race winner tonight for GFR Racing, just edging out Brandon Jackson and Benny Hogan, still within a second for both drivers, getting their podiums on the night. Cody Welch looking for the win tonight, came very close, was definitely in the battle there at the end, but he was overcoming the less ideal of the two pit strategies tonight. As a result, he will finish in fourth. Michael Ramos, the 27, going to finish in fifth. Brett Guza comes home in sixth. Jason Greenwell, a great run from him overall tonight, going to come home in the seventh spot. Connor Sawyer, a very important night for him in the points, and I believe that will move him above the cutoff. The eighth spot goes to the number 3, Connor Sawyer. Then the fan favorite himself, Hunter Henry, another top 10. Great run for the 94 tonight. And Sean Britt making his debut. Doesn't even have his name on the graphic yet, or his proper Bandit Racing League tag on the graphic yet. Making his debut in the 98, and he scores a top 10.
Yeah, 11th place was going to be Christopher Ferreira, that 13 truck, followed in 12th by Bill Harkins in the 11. 13th was Eddie Haggy, followed by Gary Wright in 14th. Rounding out your top 15 was Terry Condis, the 32 truck. Mark Allen Bivens, the 76, going to come home in 16th, followed by Kevin Foster, the 8, falling all the way down to 17th. Christopher Hamilton in 18th, Tony Hilbrand's in 19th, and the 51 of Curtis Yancey rounding off your top 20.
In 21st, David Lakey in the 84 would come home in the 21st spot. Andrew Zook had a great start early on, qualified quite well in the 07, but only comes home in 22nd in the end, though he did stay on the lead lap. Joel Wiggins making his second debut, or second appearance in the series, I should say, comes home in 23rd. Same with Joshua McQuiggan, who after a good start to the race and a great qualifying performance, only comes home for 24th. Then it's Brandon Gears in his second race in 25th. Anthony Caetano in 26th. Nolan Grossi in 27th. Jason Romy in 28th. Ashley Molino, great early on, could have potentially gone for the win. Called her shot tonight. It was quick early, but unfortunately a couple wrecks took her out of the equation, and she finishes in 29th with Daniel Stein rounding off the top 30.
31st is going to be Mason Flagar, 6 laps down, followed by Connor Zook, 13 laps down. 25 laps down is going to be Steve Ulrich in 33rd position. 34th was Ricky R. Jr. in the 64, 26 laps down. Behind him was Cale Zook, followed by Victor Weaver, Peter Murphy, Trey Ellis, Gary Moore, and Charles Oberg, who didn't start the race. Charles was just a spotter, so your final spot going to Mr. Moore.
And there you go. There is your final grid for tonight's race at Phoenix Raceway and the tribute to the Station 100 in the second to last race of the regular season. And overall, from start to finish, it wasn't the cleanest race we've ever had. It was kind of reminiscent of some of the older races we've struggled with in the short track so far this season. The trucks just don't seem to be extremely compatible with the shorter tracks overall. But I mean, generally speaking, we had some fun racing. That Cody Welch 3 wide move was pretty great. And the battle at the end there was fun to watch. Brandon, I think a couple more laps, I think he might have had him. But overall, it was another fun event, Evan. And I think with only one race to go next week at Auto Club, the story's naturally going to be those guys on the cutoff line. I think Christopher Ferrara will be just below, and guys like Connor Sawyer, who just snuck their way in, are going to be really fighting for their lives. But again, if a guy like Kevin Foster or Cody Welch does get that first win of the regular season, they're right back in it. And I would not be surprised at all, I'd imagine, as would you, if it would be one of those guys hoisting the trophy at Auto Club.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. In fact, Cody Welch is probably one of my favorites going into Auto Club. Kevin Foster is a really great driver as well. He can sneak out a win anywhere. Auto Club's just one of those tracks where it's really hard to guess the winner. There's so many guys that can come in and be good, and I feel like Auto Club lends itself so well to good racing. I feel like it's a great decision to be the final race of the regular season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I thought tonight was going to be a lot more fun to watch than it was. I still had a great time here. I hope all you guys did, but I think Auto Club, it's a track that we've seen has been a lot of fun before, and I feel like it'll continue to be a lot of fun next week with the regular season cutoff. It's going to be a really big race for some of these guys. And yeah, like you said, if we see some of those guys coming in like Cody Welch or maybe Kevin Foster, if they get a win, that's going to completely change that picture. That's going to open up a spot for somebody else. So it's going to be really, really interesting once we really get down to it next week. And, I'm excited. I'm ready for it to hurry up already.
As am I. I'm excited to have the regular season. I mean, not because I haven't enjoyed it, but to have it over into the playoffs and to have every race matter again. Have those those bigger guys that have been locked in for quite a while to really start sweating again. It'll be good to see. And overall, I'm happy to have my voice back. I'm looking forward to having my voice back and commentating normally. Thank you guys for putting up with me. And I assure you guys, as soon as this is off the air, I will go and get the warmest beverage I can possibly find, and I'll be all good to go for next week. But we made our way through, and very quickly, before we get our final shout-outs, final thank yous, one more time, we want to talk about, again, our race sponsor, the tribute to the Station 100. Again, always good to come back to it, and always good to make a couple more people aware. If you ever want to read up about it, it's the Station nightclub fire. It occurred in Rhode Island in 2003, so should be all the information you need to go find it on Wikipedia and learn a little bit more about it. But again, we are so thankful always for Charles Oberg and the fact that he's still here with us. And I didn't give it enough mention earlier on because, as you can probably tell, I've had a lot that I've been going over throughout the race so far. But one thing I do want to mention is that the reason this race does occur at Phoenix is in reference to the Phoenix kind of being representative of the rising from the ashes, overcoming some, really any adversity of any sort and just moving on and living your life. And I know, again, as we want to talk about, PTSD awareness, it's an extremely important thing to keep in mind, and that many people suffer. And again, those who have not had it, it can be a tough thing to remember, but that's overall, it's a really important thing to talk about. I'm now seeing a note on screen. We have gotten a bit of a tip. So let's go back. Let's bring it back. Back in the booth after just a couple moments. It's our race winner once again, Nick Nickerson. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. Well, no, pretty bad, but we're getting through it.
Yeah, I hear you got a little bit of a throat bug there, huh?
Bit of a frog, yeah. We're getting through it.
Cool, man. Well, hey, I had to step in to say one last thing that I forgot to mention. This paint job that I have, the black with the red on the back, I am undefeated with this paint job.
Whoa.
So everybody else, bring the heat, because this paint job is being pretty lucky for me so far.
Well, that's a very interesting point. I hadn't actually thought about that, but yeah, you were good in that older, orange and blacks or orange and blue scheme you ran at the beginning of the season. But yeah, I don't remember this truck ever not winning. So
yeah, since I ran it, I've gotten every race except for Texas. In Texas, I ran my silver paint. So
you gotta calm down there, good sir. How about for our sake next week, on behalf of the people, because next week is Fan Appreciation Week. How about you run a different scheme for us, Nick? Come on.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
this paint job's hot.
Oh, Nick. You don't want us to have fun, do you? Come on.
No, not one bit.
Well, Mr. Nick Nickerson, always a pleasure. Man.
Yeah.
Come on, Nick. Please.
Yep. Sorry, man, but I had to come in and just say that. I need the other guys to bring the heat. Who's going to dethrone the paint job? So that's all I wanted to say, man. I hope you feel better.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll be good by next week. And I appreciate, Nick, that you're kind of trying to slowly turn heel on us a little bit. We talked about last year, if you're going to win all these races, you got to be a big jerk about it. And
that's what you wanted.
This is what I'm looking for. So keep this going, keep running the paint, and put some Darth Vaders on it, and you'll really have that sort of style you're looking for down. So thank you, Nick. Always a pleasure. We'll see you next week. And how about we don't talk to you next week, and we'll try something a little different.
I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard. California's a good track of mine.
Oh, boy. Thank you very much, Nick. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. Take care.
See ya. Oh, man. Well, that was a fun little drop by from Nick Nickerson. Thank you very much. And that's what we're looking for. That is your defending champion of the series, ladies and gentlemen. And he's a fun guy, and he's got a fun side, but he's always very cold and calculated on the broadcast. So good to see something a little bit different. But yes, tribute to the Station 100 again. Really, thank you for Christopher Ferreira for sponsoring. But we're very happy to pay some attention to an event that should teach us some lessons about life in general. So, well, that being said, now is the part where we head into the wrap up. And again, I need to go drink something very warm. But I want to very quickly shout out Evan Wall, because as he always does, in addition to making some great paint schemes, including Matt Crockett's a couple weeks ago, which was called by many one of the best we've ever seen for the Adventures with Purpose race. That scheme was awesome, and I'm really glad that you're still working with guys actively in the series to get some paint schemes on track. But and more so tonight, slotting in. I know you're always busy, but you made the time tonight, and you took over the main broadcasting duties. You definitely took a lot of the load off of me tonight, and you deserve to plug your stuff. So Evan Wall, now's your chance, man.
Well, yeah, you guys know evanwallmedia.com. I'm glad to be here and help. It's in most of the graphics because I made most of the graphics, so I just went ahead and added my website down below. But if you look on the Bandit Racing League Instagram, that's really who I want to shout out. Chris is doing a lot of work with the Bandit Racing League Instagram. So if you just look us up on Instagram, I'm doing helping him with the graphics there, and he'll have a win graphic up here soon. I helped him, made him one with that. So yeah, Chris is doing a lot of work there, so I of course want to shout that out. And the Bandit Racing League Facebook as well. Just if you want to check them out on social media, I've made graphics for both of those, and those are just really fun graphics to make. They really help me with the stuff that I'm doing professionally. Being able to do stuff like this just for fun and on the side, it really helps keep the creativity flowing and everything for when I have to make stuff professionally and for work. But yeah, if you just want to check me out, evanwallmedia.com, so I've got everything, or on Instagram at evanwallmedia, pretty much any social media at evanwallmedia. So I'd appreciate it if you check it out.
Well, I can't wait for the Evan Wall Media MySpace page coming soon. I hope if it's truly every social media, you got to branch out. But
maybe.
Thank you as always, Evan. It was great to have you. Seeing you pop into Discord tonight, I cannot convey how relieved I was to see that, because I don't know about you people. Hopefully everybody at home, you guys enjoyed the broadcast despite my ailment. But man, imagine this solo. That would have been, oh boy, glad that we got through it. But overall, yeah, I just want to give a shout out as always to my dad, who I know watches these broadcasts and is a great supporter of the series, and really to anybody that watches through, especially anybody that watches through the interviews all the way to the end here. You guys are the true fans, and you are who we're doing next week for. It's Fan Appreciation Week, the Fan Appreciation 85 at Auto Club. We're doing some fun stuff. We're minimum doing trivia because you guys love trivia. I'll get that together as always, and might get some talking heads from some of you guys, some of the fans. Get some different perspectives, and we just want to make it a fun thing and really showcase the community we have here. And Auto Club was one of the best races last season. It was where I made my producing debut at the series when I had to do a one-off. So it'll be back. Hopefully, and my voice 100% will be back. I guarantee it'll be back by tomorrow, and this will all be a cruel joke, but overall, thank you everybody for watching as always for the tribute to the station 100 at Phoenix Raceway. And boy, I can't wait to check the points for next week. I'm sure if you follow the Facebook or the Instagram, you'll see the graphic for where everybody sits in the playoffs before you see it on the broadcast next week. So if your favorite driver's on the cutoff, go check it out. But Bandit merch in the description. The link to the Facebook's in the description. So is evanwallmedia.com. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, I'm going to go take a cough drop and drink about 80 cups of tea. But we'll see you then.
Absolutely, and roll tide.